Chapter 742. Heaven's Stairway Level 5, White River Valley. Other than the battle between Yu Yang and the ancient demon king at the Blood Altar, the battle between Night Empress and Four Seas clan had also reached its climax. Within the starry sky domain, the 12 zodiac constellations had already been born. Each constellation had supreme power. If it was another opponent, they would have already been destroyed by Night Empress attack. However, Four Seas Elder, who had the strength of heaven ranked level 6 and sovereign will, showed no signs of losing. Instead, he advanced step by step and advanced towards Night Empress. The battle between two powerhouses was not something that could be decided in a short period of time. It would probably take at least a few hours of attrition. Compared to these two, Princess Sisai and Xue Wuxia had already won. Impatience fell to the ground with heavy injuries and was carried back by her guardian beast, Charm Demon Empress. Her opponents, two heaven-ranked level 4 powerhouses from the Nine Brilliance clan, did not even have the time to announce their names before they were turned into ashes by her sky punishment. Their protective treasures could not withstand Impatience's sky punishment, which was very close to the power of the ancient code. If it wasn't for the fact that Phoenix Fairy Beauty had sustained heavy injuries when she killed the Four Seas Elder's son, and the sneak attack from the coffin monster by the Undertaker Eugene, she wouldn't have suffered a mental backlash when she used the power of Sky Law to kill these two strong enemies. She killed two heaven-ranked level 4 Nine Brilliance clan experts in one move, seriously injured Eugene the Undertaker, and lightly injured 3 others. In addition, she killed Four Seas Elder's son, Cu. This was Impatience's battle record. Even the arrogant giant Li Pan and Eugene the Undertaker, who thought that he could ignore mental attacks, were very surprised by her sky punishment. If the opponent was switched and the giant Li Pan attacked Impatience instead of Eugene, he would probably be the third Nine Brilliance clan powerhouse to fall. Very powerful. I admit that I have underestimated you girls. Li Pan put away his previous arrogance. Humph. Eugene the Undertaker's face darkened. If not for his companion's timely rescue, his strongest coffin monster would have been smashed to pieces by the succubus queen. What he was worried about the most was not the Impatience who had fainted and could no longer fight, nor was it the Princess Sisai who was holding the prison Emperor Divine Sword and almost killed him just now. Instead, it was the Xue Wuxia who was holding the Book of Truth in her hands and had not moved at all. According to the relevant information gathered by the ancient demon king, the Scarlet Emperor, the Marquis of Zijin and the others, Eugene knew that this woman was called Xue Wuxia. She was the Yu clan's third young master's greatest helper. Her wisdom and mental strength were unparalleled. He knew that she was very powerful. However, after fighting with her, Eugene realized that all the previous information had severely underestimated this Xue Wuxia. If not for the fact that this Xue Wuxia was still very young, she would definitely be a ranker on the same level as the Night Empress or even surpass her. Standing beside Xue Wuxia was a female giant with the strength of heaven-ranked level 5. If Eugene the Undertaker had a choice, he would rather fight with 2 female giants than to become this Xue Wuxia's opponent. Because of her restraint, his 2 heaven-ranked level 4 companions, Li Kei and Li Shi, were instantly killed by the Impatience without any chance to escape. Although the one who killed the Impatience was the one who caused Sky Law to show off her power, it was actually this Xue Wuxia who was in charge of restraining them. Kill her! Of course, among the 9 Light Clan's rankers, there were also people who saw the crux of the problem. The giant Li Pan and his cousin, Li Chang, who had the strength of heaven-ranked level 3, pounced towards Xue Wuxia at high speed. Eugene shouted loudly to stop them, but after his body was heavily injured, his throat became hoarse with blood. Moreover, the angry Li Pan and Li Chang simply let their hatred overwhelm their rationality. Scram! The female giant Raging Flame rushed out and blocked in front of Xue Wuxia, blocking the giant Li Pan's angry attack. She unleashed her dragon power and started a bloody battle with Li Pan without holding anything back. That heaven-ranked level 3 Li Chang met Aman. The god-binding chain whipped Li Chang's body. Aman forcefully dragged this heaven-ranked level 3 enemy from the sky to the ground. She then raised a huge rock that was the size of a small mountain and smashed it on the other party's head. Howl! At this time, Hui Tai Lang was already fighting with the other two heaven-ranked rankers. He and his clone, one on the left and one on the right, one on the top and one on the bottom, making it difficult to distinguish between the real and the fake. The spirit of heaven fire had already summoned the blazing queen bee and hatched a sky full of blazing bee warriors. Together with the reaper mantis, she was looking for an opportunity. Although they didn't have any deterrent power in a battle between heaven-ranked rankers, they were a force that couldn't be underestimated. If the enemy's war beast was heavily injured, then their opportunity would come. Or if the prison Emperor Divine Seal in Xue Wuxia's hands attacked, once it hit a heaven-ranked or war beast, they would immediately surround and attack. Beside their mistress, Xue Wuxia, they could unleash their greatest power. With the protection and support of the divine sense domain, although they weren't holy beasts or divine beasts, they were still a force that couldn't be ignored. Not to mention them, even the quintet seeking golden mice were slowly swimming under Xue Wuxia's feet. There were two rankers in the Nine Glory clan who were very good at setting up traps and runes. Their existence was to allow Xue Wuxia to see through her opponent faster and give her the greatest blow. With the quintet seeking golden mice and the Book of Truth, Xue Wuxia's current insight was already close to Yu Yang's Heaven Eyes divine vision. Nirvana Sunflower. City Mistress Fallen Flowers stood on the right of Xue Wuxia. She summoned the heaven-ranked level 5 Nirvana Sunflower and blinded almost all of the enemy's war beasts. Li Pan covered his eyes and ran away after the special skill of blindness was activated. He wasn't afraid of physical attacks, but he was afraid of this kind of mind control that deprived his vision. When the Nirvana Sunflower's second special skill was activated, the entire sky turned into a sunset. The twilight deepened, and even people's hearts became heavy and bleak. Among the enemy's war beasts, the two golden-horned bull warriors who were known to always be in high spirits also stared blankly at the Nirvana Sunflower, their eyes filled with numbness. Nine Glory East, praise by all, glory to our clan. A ranker from the Nine Glory clan who was dressed like a great witch waved his black staff and sang the Nine Glory clan's sacrificial war song loudly. All the rankers from the Nine Glory clan who were present trembled when they heard it. The bleak atmosphere in their hearts was swept away and the blindness was completely removed. Li Pan, who was punched dozens of times by the raging flames, immediately turned around and punched the raging flames. Of course, this sacrificial war song wasn't omnipotent. For example, Li Chang, who had fallen into Aman's hands, was in a desperate situation. Aman used the god-binding chains to strangle his neck and used her arms and knees to forcefully strangle Li Chang's back. If it was just her, Li Chang could still hold on for a while. However, Hui Tai Lang broke free from the two heaven rankers and opened its bloody mouth, biting down on Li Chang's lower body with its sharp teeth that could devour the heavens. No matter how much Li Chang was in pain, no matter how much he struggled or attacked, it resolutely refused to let go. The intelligent Hui Tai Lang naturally knew where a person's weakness was. As long as it attacked the enemy's weakness, it would be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. This had always been the tactic that Yu Yang had taught it. The Tao Tai that the Tao Tai blade had transformed into did not have the intelligence of Hui Tai Lang, but it knew how to cooperate. It tightly bit down on Li Chang's right leg and used its claws to press down on the struggling left leg, helping Hui Tai Lang strengthen its attack on the lower body. The star Luo Sky Scorpion quietly emerged from the ground and pierced a needle deep into Li Chang's spine. Yu Jin's clan brother, Yu Yu, who was also Heaven Ranker level 3, rushed over with lightning speed, wanting to save his good friend Li Chang. Be careful. Eugene was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. He had just warned this brat not to underestimate the enemy and not to enter that Shui Wuxia's domain, but now he turned a deaf ear? I'll send you on your way. Princess Sisai, who had the support of the Azure Dragon holy power, forced the Heaven Ranker in front of her to retreat with one slash. She raised the prison Emperor Divine sword high up. Wah! Yu from the Nine Light Clan shouted in fear. He realized that no matter how he dodged, he would still crash into the prison Emperor Divine sword's blade. Leave quickly. Eugene the Undertaker did not care about his own safety. He used the coffin monster to wrap Yu up and sent him far away from the Divine Sense domain. He threw out a fake body for Princess Sisai to kill while he escaped in a sorry state. Even though he used a fake body, there was still a deep sword wound on Eugene's back. He was not like the giant Li Pan whose physical defense had already reached the limit. Moreover, the might of the divine sword and the Azure Dragon holy power was not something that could be blocked by a physical body. Yu, who had just jumped out of the coffin monster, did not even have the time to be shocked by the serious wound on Eugene's body before he heard his companion's anxious shout. Hide! A terrifying light and high heat that could incinerate everything appeared behind him. That was the Heaven Ranker Level 5 Nirvana Sunflower. Different from the normal Heaven Realm Sunflower, the Nirvana Sunflower was a terrifying killing weapon. The Nirvana Flower wheel directly crushed Yu's body. Even someone as strong as him, who was Heaven Ranker Level 3, was easily crushed into two halves by the Nirvana Flower wheel. City Master Fallen Flowers pointed at Li Pan, who was known as the strongest barbarian. When the Nirvana Sunflower shot towards him, Li Pan, who had never avoided a battle, immediately crouched on the ground and dodged the Nirvana Sunflower's slash. No. The Undertaker Eugene cried out in pain. The Yu clan had gradually declined in the Nine Light clan. Yu was an extremely talented junior. Who would have thought that he, who had lived peacefully in the Western Heaven Realm, would fall in a battle in the Tong Tian Tower? The giant Li Pan also cried out in pain. After Li Ke and Li Shi, who were killed on the spot, the third Li clan ranker, Li Chang, also fell under the combined attack of Aman, Hui Tai Lang and the other beasts. Li Chang's body gradually turned golden. When his spine turned golden, Aman directly broke his head. On the contrary, Hui Tai Lang and Tao Tai tore open his lower body and swallowed the flesh and blood in their mouths. Although the furious Nine Light Clan rankers joined hands to kill the Crazy Thorny Flower General and the Smoke Thorny Flower General, they could not save the lives of their clansmen. Exchanging a life for a life, they really suffered a great loss. The Crazy Thorny Flower General and the Smoke Thorny Flower General were summoned by the opponent's guardian beast. Even if they died, they could still be resurrected. However, their clansmen could not be resurrected, because even if they had the Resurrection Heaven Crystal, they did not have a complete corpse. Yu, who was split into two by the Nirvana Sunflower, not only had her body, even her soul had been destroyed by the Nirvana Flame. As for Li Chang, his corpse had already been eaten by the opponent's beast. His soul had also been imprisoned by Shui Wuxia's Divine Sense Domain and the Book of Truth. You did not come to Tong Tian Tower for friendship, so you must pay the price for your greed. Shui Wuxia coldly stared at the Undertaker Eugene. The person she wanted to kill the most was actually this cunning opponent, but she had not found the opportunity. Maybe we came in the wrong place. However, since we have already formed an enmity, we will fight to the end. We do not want to hide our greed, nor do we want to explain. Living in this world, there are always different kinds of desires. When we are in pain, we will cry. When we are happy, we will laugh. When we see something beautiful, we will want it. When we see a treasure, we will want it. These desires are not something we can control even if we want to. It is not for justice, nor is it because we are born evil. We are just standing on different sides, doing the exact opposite. After the Undertaker Eugene lamented the death of his clansmen, he immediately answered Shui Wuxia seriously. He waved his arms and shouted to his clansmen, Brothers, maybe we will die in battle, but the pride of the Nine Light Clan cannot fall in our hands. Fight, it has nothing to do with justice or evil. We only need to fight to the death with our enemies. Chapter 743. Heaven's Stairway Level 5, White River Valley, Crimson Altar. The battle between Ancient Demon King and Yu Yang continued. With the help of the giant Lowly, Ancient Demon King's Death Fairy and White Bone Cage were useless. Even the 500-meter-tall mountain giant was unable to restrain Ancient Demon King. The heaven-ranked Level 5 mountain giant surpassed the giant Lowly in terms of level and size. However, it was too clumsy and could not be compared to the giant Lowly, who was proficient in battle techniques and had greater strength. Of course, due to its enormous size and unimaginable physical defense, the mountain giant wouldn't fall for the time being even though it was in a disadvantageous position. The battle between the two giants shook the earth. Everywhere they fought, sand and stones flew. Landslides cracks. Gradually, the two giants fought their way out of the White River Valley's Crimson Altar, looking for a wider battlefield to better display their combat power. Inferno Prison descends. Ancient Demon King and his guardian beast Inferno merged into one, summoning a sky full of meteors. Volcanoes rose from the ground and magma spewed into the sky. Other than the Crimson Altar, the entire valley had turned into a blazing stone hell. In this blazing stone hell environment, Ancient Demon King's strength was strengthened. It increased by at least a few times. Moreover, the Inferno Prison's endless fire energy gathered in his body. If he did not destroy the blazing stone hell, he would be able to maintain his peak state. Yusu and Bei could no longer stay in Ancient Demon King's alienation domain. They could not stay for long in this kind of alienation domain, beast, and environment. Although the two could not feel Ancient Demon King's hostility, they instinctively felt danger. Being in this place was more dangerous than being in an active volcano. Yi Shao and Ziguang looked at each other. They originally had absolute confidence in Ancient Demon King, but after seeing the battle in front of them, they had an inexplicable lack of confidence. It would be difficult for Ancient Demon King alone to kill the abnormal Yu Yang without the best vessel and without recovering to his peak state. They saw that Yu Yang was still as nimble as ever in the blazing stone hell. Yusu Bei, we don't need you to participate in this battle. You are all honorable Heaven Realm warriors, we are different. Yi Shao suddenly opened his mouth and said to Yusu and Bei, who were in the sky, His Majesty is the master we follow. We can't just stand by and watch him fight alone. No matter what others say, we will not feel humiliated. If we die in battle, please inform our allies in Heaven Realm of our death. Originally, I had promised them to ally with us, but now, I might not have that chance. I'm very happy to be able to work together. Goodbye. Ziguang also nodded slightly. He took off his cloak and revealed his handsome face. Yusu knew that Yi Shao and Ziguang were going to join hands with the Ancient Demon King to besiege Yu Yang. Such an action would not be too much of a burden for Yu Yang. This was because when Yi Shao and Ziguang decided to attack together, Yi Shao and Ziguang's expressions changed. That meant the wrath of a supreme martial artist. If she drew her sword in anger, there was a 90% chance that she would kill Yi Shao and Ziguang. Yi Shao and Ziguang knew that they could not escape death, but they wanted to use themselves to drag the Nine Brilliance King and Heaven Empress who were still watching. If the Nine Brilliance King continued to stand by and watch, then the Supreme would join hands with Yu Yang to defeat the Ancient Demon King. How could the Nine Brilliance King explore the gods' ruins by himself after losing the Ancient Demon King as an ally? Yi Shao and Ziguang knew this. They were willing to sacrifice themselves to drag the Nine Brilliance King into the battle as soon as possible. The earlier the Nine Brilliance King entered the battlefield, the safer the Ancient Demon King would be. Whether they could survive by a fluke was not part of Yi Shao and Ziguang's plan. They did not want to know how terrifying a single attack from a human supreme that even the ancient demon king had no confidence in defeating would be. "I'll join." Bei, who rarely expressed his opinion, suddenly decided to join hands with Yi Xiao and Zi Guang. I'm also a teammate." Although Yu Su was a little hesitant, he still nodded in the end. "Thank you." Yi Xiao knew that this was already very rare. After all, everyone only had one life. To be able to stay by his side in the face of life and death, he could not ask for more from such a teammate. Zi Guang summoned a ball flickering with purple radiance. It was his guardian beast sphere. Yi Xiao summoned a monster with a bird's body and a human's face, a single horn and a single claw. This monster was similar to the Eastern Goblin tribe's human-faced owl, with only slight differences. This was the result of Yi Xiao's mutation after the ancient demon king used his mutation inherent skill. Yi Xiao was actually the weakest among the 4 marshals and 8 generals under the ancient demon king. After the mutation, Yi Xiao was reborn and became the strongest among the ancient demon king's subordinates. The 4 marshals and 8 generals died in battle or were sealed, and he was the only one who escaped. After thousands of years, Zi Guang, who was even more talented, joined. Yi Xiao was still the most loyal and powerful one among the ancient demon king's subordinates. The human-faced owl, who was at heaven-ranked level 4, turned out to be a weak owl. Now, after the mutation, it had the ability to be invincible among those of the same rank. Other than evading shadow and listening technique, Yi Xiao's guardian beast human-faced owl also had a special skill called capture. As long as the human-faced owl was caught in its claws, all the beasts weaker than the human-faced owl would be trapped in a white bone cage, unable to struggle. Even the beasts that were stronger than the human-faced owl would be greatly weakened. Most importantly, other than a few beasts that could not be captured, the human-faced owl's capture special skill would never fail. Compared to the ancient demon king's white bone cage, the human-faced owl could not only capture its enemies, it could also attack at the same time. The only difference was that the human-faced owl's size was not big, so it could not capture living beings like the island whale, mountain giant and ancient titan. Bei summoned a shadow. It was exactly the same as him. No matter its strength, aura or demeanor, it was exactly the same. This was the strongest copy ability. The only flaw was that it could only copy itself, and the copy time was only 10 minutes. Yu Su summoned the Heaven Stage Level 3 Silver-Winged Heavenly Horse. This silver-winged heavenly horse was not a war beast, but a special type of war beast. It instantly transformed into a bright and dazzling heavenly horse armor, perfectly covering Yu Su's body. Behind his back, 8 silver wings extended out, giving Yu Su the fastest speed. Because of this special silver-winged Pegasus, Yu Su obtained the title of Aerial Battle King. The Scarlet Emperor held the Scarlet Concubine's hand and swept away the torch stones falling from the sky. He was watching coldly from the side. He naturally supported Yi Xiao and Zi Guang's idea of dragging the 9 Brilliance King into the battle. He was secretly glad that the 2 of them had such a sacrificial spirit. No matter who won this battle, he would not be able to benefit from it. If it wasn't for the importance of this battle, the Scarlet Emperor would have left the White River Valley and become a carefree king, regardless of the outcome between the Ancient Demon King and Yu Yang's group. Between the Ancient Demon King and Yu Yang, what the Scarlet Emperor hoped to see the most was an internecine outcome. Human Sovereign, please enlighten me. The 9 Brilliance King was a little unhappy with Yi Xiao and Zi Guang's actions. Of course, he could understand their thoughts. The Ancient Demon King was fighting a bitter battle, and it was indeed a little inappropriate for him to watch from the side. The 9 Brilliance clan had almost turned out in full force for the secret treasure in the God's ruins. Some of the 9 Brilliance clan's disciples had already fallen. If he continued to watch the battle, the losses would only increase. Therefore, he decided to take action personally and end this battle as soon as possible. To be honest, the Nine Brilliance King did not want to start a war with Yu Yang and Sovereign. If he had gotten to know Yu Yang and Sovereign before forming an alliance with the ancient Demon King, he would be more than happy to join hands with Yu Yang and Sovereign. Joining hands with the young and promising Yu Yang would actually be the greatest guarantee. Unfortunately, reality was the opposite of his ideal. Now, he had to fight against Yu Yang and Sovereign as an invader and the ancient Demon King's ally. For the God's ruins, he had to take action no matter what. If the Nine Brilliance clan wanted to advance in the Heaven Realm, they had to obtain the secret treasure in the God's ruins. With the God blood, martial souls, and ancient relics, the Nine Brilliance clan was destined to become the strongest clan in the Heaven Realm. It was not impossible for them to replace the central shrine as the most revered existence. Yu Yang, I'll give you half an hour. End the battle as soon as possible. Sovereign ignored the Nine Brilliance King. She turned around and shouted at Yu Yang. Human Sovereign, a battle between experts. Can you give Dong Yao a name that I can remember? The Nine Brilliance King was even more displeased when Sovereign ignored him. He was the ruler of the Heaven Realm, yet a human sovereign from the sky-reaching tower was ignoring him? Of course, he pretended to be humble on the surface. As a ruler, he knew that the most useless thing in the world was anger. Anger would make people lose their rationality. Anger was harmless to an ordinary person, but to a ruler who controlled the lives of millions of people and the fate of the entire clan, an unnecessary anger might ruin the overall situation. The name isn't important. Sovereign raised her hand and slowly drew a hexagram array. A black piece condensed from the black hole of the shattered void appeared in her palm. Even though the Nine Brilliance King was the ruler of the Heaven Realm, looking down on the masses and the world, he couldn't help but be shocked when he saw the destructive black piece. It was definitely something that could kill him. The Empress, who had been hidden and silent all this while, also had a slight ripple in her aura when she saw the black piece. It was as if her heart was stirred by surprise. Ji Zun's left and right hands condensed the black pieces that could destroy all living things. Under her feet there was also a strange object that looked like a black hole. It looked like a mirror, but it also had the ability to absorb and devour all living things. There were mysterious runes and patterns on the surface, and faintly, there was lightning flashing at the edge. Yusu swallowed a mouthful of saliva with difficulty when he saw the strange phenomena that appeared on Ji Zun's body one after another. Fortunately, the Nine Brilliance King had already decided to fight. Otherwise, there would be a few more teams participating. He would only be throwing his life away. Yi Xiao, Ziguang, Bei, and himself wanted to fight a Ji Zun. Tipping each of them with a black chess piece would probably be too much for them to bear. Leave. Quickly. When the ancient Demon King, who was fighting with Yu Yang, saw that Ji Zun was about to attack, he immediately warned his subordinates to leave the White River Valley. Rising sun from the east. A huge energy ball that was even brighter than the sun exploded from the Nine Brilliance King's body. Its power was simply enough to destroy the world. He raised the huge energy ball that looked like a sun with both hands. Everything that the solar energy ball touched, be it rocks, lava, mountain walls, or even mountains, was instantly turned into nothingness. Yi Xiao, Ziguang, Bei, and Yusu were so frightened that they quickly ran away. They didn't dare to get within 1,000 meters of the sun. The Nine Brilliance King slowly pushed the huge energy ball toward Ji Zun. If Ji Zun couldn't take it, there would only be one result. That was death. As a ruler of the Heaven Realm, the Nine Brilliance King didn't want to use any tricks. In the face of absolute power, all strategies and tactics were useless. As long as the opponent couldn't take the sun, the battle would be over. Chapter 744. When the Nine Brilliance King pushed the sun towards Ji Zun, Yi Xiao and Ziguang actually disregarded their own safety and blocked Ji Zun's path. They were like moths flying into a flame. They quickly descended from the sky, intending to block Ji Zun's path of retreat and delay her, forcing her to face the sunlight energy ball that was comparable to the sun. The destructive solar energy ball had almost no flaws. If one had to point out a flaw, it would be its slow speed. Even though the Nine Brilliance King had locked onto it with his mind, it was still possible for an honorable realm expert to escape from it. Yi Xiao and Zi Guang's current plan was to delay Ji Zun and force her to face the attack head-on. Would they be annihilated by this sunlight energy ball? The answer was yes. Seeing Yi Xiao and Zi Guang risking their lives, the ancient demon king who was fighting with Yu Yang roared in grief. These were his last and most loyal subordinates, and they were about to sacrifice themselves for him. Even though he was a cold and emotionless ancient demon king, he still felt heartache as he watched this kind of life and death parting that would never return. Don't even think about it. What made the ancient demon king feel even more pain was that not only could he not stop his subordinates from dying, he also had to stop Yu Yang with his life. Yu Yang raised his world-exterminating wheel and prepared to cut a path to save Ji Zun. The ancient demon king naturally would not let Yu Yang get what he wanted. He forcefully grabbed the world-exterminating wheel with his right claw and used his other claw to help the badly damaged White Bones cage, intending to capture Yu Yang. Even if it was just for 1 second, it was enough to restrain a strong enemy like Yu Yang and change the entire situation. Yu Yang rode on the Nirvana Fire Phoenix and rushed past the ancient demon king. He did not take the opportunity to injure the ancient demon king's arm. Instead, he pulled back the world-exterminating wheel and slashed it towards Yi Xiao and Zi Guang. The human-faced owl and Yuan descended from the sky and intercepted Yu Yang. They fearlessly rushed towards the world-exterminating wheel and the Nirvana Fire Phoenix, hoping to buy a second for their master. Behind them, the ancient demon king also hurriedly chased after them. He extended his arm and tried to grab Yu Yang's body. Boom! Behind Yu Yang, aka the unique battle angel, appeared. Her cannon barrel blasted a heavy cannon toward the ancient demon king's face. When the human-faced owl in the sky forcibly brushed the edge of the Nirvana Fire Phoenix and was about to catch Yu Yang with one claw, Ika's angel's blade shone, and a diagonal crosscut broke through the air. The circle, that was not afraid of brute force attacks at all, let the world-exterminating wheel cut off a small part of its body. It jumped in front of the human-faced owl and blocked the cross/slash for it. The human-faced owl stretched out its claw and prepared to rush forward to catch the circle that never missed its target. Colorful lights filled the sky. Countless petals fluttered in the air. An indescribable fragrance permeated the entire blood-colored altar. It was refreshing, making one feel as if they had entered a dreamland. In the center of the brilliance, the world's most beautiful flower was born. It seemed as if it was slowly blooming. However, when the human-faced owl reached out its claw to the top of Yu Yang's head, a girl who was so perfect that it made people sigh appeared in the center of the flower bud. Her appearance was unparalleled in the world. Any adjectives would pale in comparison to her devastatingly beautiful appearance. Even the world's most exquisite painter would not be able to describe her heavenly appearance. Her golden waterfall-like long hair fluttered without any wind, flashing rainbow-like colors. Her clear forehead was adorned with a fragmented 100-flower crown. Her skin was as white as snow, and she was even more beautiful than a flower. Behind the crown of 100 flowers, there was a small and exquisite crown, showing off her status. Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen. The strongest emperor among all plant-type beasts. She was also the only existence among all plant-type beasts. When her long eyelashes trembled slightly, her beautiful eyes slowly opened. Even though the entire White River Valley had turned into a blazing stone hell, at the edge of the magma, in the cracks between the rocks, the scorched ground, the rock walls and the debris, countless fresh flowers drilled out at the same time. Branches and leaves grew, thousands of flowers bloomed, silently cheering for the birth of the Flower Queen. In an instant, the entire blazing stone hell had turned into a sea of flowers. With a wave of her hand, Duo, who had officially grown into a golden-crowned thorny flower queen and officially leveled up to a divine beast, easily flicked the human-faced owl away. She only used a finger to draw the human-faced owl and Yuan into the whirlpool of flowers, throwing them 10,000 meters away. Ancient Demon King caught up. Duo stretched out her palm. She forcefully used the will of a divine beast to stop Ancient Demon King's huge body in midair, forbidding him from chasing after Yu Yang. Life Chain. Seeing that Yu Yang had broken out of the encirclement and was about to attack Yi Xiao and Zi Guang, the Ancient Demon King suddenly shot out a golden life chain. This saint-ranked life chain wrapped around Yu Yang's ankle. One end of the life chain was connected to his own demon hand, forcefully pulling Yu Yang back. In order to protect Yi Xiao and Zi Guang, Bei used his clone to block the world-exterminating wheel that Yu Yang had thrown out. Before the clone disappeared, it actually knew how to change its angle, causing the world-exterminating wheel to change its direction. The world-exterminating wheel brushed past Zi Guang's hair and slashed across the sky, slicing everything in its way. The 1,000-meter-tall White River Valley mountain wall was slashed in half by the world-exterminating wheel. In the instant that the mountain was about to collapse, Yi Xiao and Zi Guang had already attacked Ji Zun's back. Their goal was not to injure Ji Zun, but to make her stay for 2 seconds, forcing her to take on the 9 Brilliance King's sunlight energy ball that was comparable to the sun. You're overestimating yourself. Ji Zun did not use the black pieces in her hand to attack Yi Xiao and Zi Guang's bodies. She let out a low shout, and the mysterious rune mirror wheel under her feet immediately expanded. Moreover, it mysteriously started to spin according to Ji Zun's will. A mirror wheel that was comparable to the world inside the door of life froze Yi Xiao and Zi Guang in midair. Following Ji Zun's finger, the two of them involuntarily fell into the world inside the mirror wheel. Yi Xiao and Zi Guang's appearance was not completely useless. As the two of them intercepted, the sun condensed by the 9 Brilliance King arrived. This sunlight energy ball had an extremely powerful mental lock-on ability. It attacked the enemy according to the 9 Brilliance King's will, from extremely slow to extremely slow, then fast, and finally extremely fast. With a destructive energy, it charged towards Ji Zun. Ji Zun still did not let go of the black pieces in her hand. Instead of retreating, she moved forward and faced the sunlight energy ball that was comparable to the sun. The mysterious mirror wheel spun around her body like a shadow protecting its owner's body. What made the Ancient Demon King, the Scarlet Emperor, and the 9 Brilliance King dumbfounded was that the sunlight energy ball that was comparable to the sun did not explode when it came into contact with the mirror wheel. Instead, it was strangely swallowed by the mirror wheel. It was as if the sun was eaten by a heavenly dog. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it slowly disappeared into the mirror wheel that was much smaller than itself. Perhaps the mirror wheel was unable to contain two different things, or perhaps the energy had exceeded the limit of what it could contain. Yi Xiao and Zi Guang, who were swallowed by the mirror wheel, were now thrown out by the mirror wheel's inner world. Yi Xiao appeared in the sky and fell down uncontrollably from an extremely high altitude. His bones were about to crack. Although he was as strong as an Iron Man, he couldn't help but groan in his throat. Unlike Yi Xiao, Zi Guang appeared on the ground and shot up to the sky. When he shot up to 100 meters in the sky, he seemed to have hit something and was refracted. He fell miserably on the stone wall with his head bleeding. This is the inner world. She has mastered the inner world law of the gate of life and death. The Ancient Demon King knew that Ji Zun was very powerful, but he had never imagined that she had mastered the law of space. Different from Yu Yang's law of war beasts, Ji Zun's law of space was the law of space. With the mirror wheel as the inner world, her control of the law was much more precise and profound than Yu Yang's. No wonder the sunlight energy ball that the Nine Brilliance King had condensed couldn't move her. The mirror wheel's inner world? Let's see how many of my energy balls you can swallow. The Nine Brilliance King was also a little angry. How could a king in the heaven realm be disregarded by his opponent and easily neutralized his attack? How humiliating was that? Jizun's strength made him want to kill her. In the heaven realm, there was a saying among the king-level experts and above. The saying was that enemies who could control the three energies of space, time, and fate were the most difficult enemies to deal with. Once someone mastered this ability, no matter how strong or weak they were, they had to be eliminated. Otherwise, there would be endless troubles in the future. The three energies of space, time, and fate were different kinds of energy that no other energy could touch. No matter how strong a heaven-ranked expert was, he could defeat all enemies and destroy all living things, but he couldn't control space, time, or defy fate. Even the realm lords who were like gods in the heaven realm didn't dare to say they could control the mysteries of space, time, and fate, let alone the beings below the realm lord level. What made the Nine Brilliance King confident was that Jizun's strength was inferior to his. Her control of the law of space was still at the initial stage and couldn't reach a perfect state. The Nine Brilliance King felt that he could fill the mirror wheel's inner world with energy and stop Jizun from using the law of space to defend against him. Secondly, there was an ancestor-level heaven empress behind him. She was the strongest. Even if he couldn't defeat her, as long as the heaven empress made a move, it wouldn't be a problem to take down this human Jizun and that freak Yu Yang. With her around, he didn't need to worry about anything. 9 Brilliance Combo, Water, Gold, Fire, 3 Brilliance Combo. The 9 Brilliance King flew into the sky and condensed a huge energy ball in each of his hands. One was sapphire blue and the other was golden. A third energy ball condensed under his feet. It was shaped like fire. It was similar to the sun ball from before, but slightly smaller. The 9 Brilliance King threw and kicked 3 energy balls of different colors. They streaked across the sky like meteors and shot toward the Supremes. Although the 3 energy balls were slightly smaller than the sun from before, the power of the 3 energy balls wasn't inferior to the sun from before. In fact, it was slightly stronger. The sapphire blue water ball and the golden gold ball, one from the left and one from the right, made a turn and collided with Jizun's body. As for the fire energy ball that looked like a small sun, it flew straight toward Jizun like an arrow after being kicked. The mirror wheel revolved crazily. Jizun seemed like she was going to absorb the opponent's 3 consecutive attacks with the mirror wheel. The 9 Brilliance King instantly teleported behind Jizun and pressed his palms on her back. Wood, earth, explode. Just as the wood and earth energies were about to explode on Jizun's back and attack her together with the water, metal, and fire elements, Jizun suddenly disappeared. She escaped from the 9 Brilliance King's mental lock like a wisp of smoke. Damn it! The 9 Brilliance King realized he had fallen into Jizun's trap. Without an opponent, wouldn't it mean he would have to endure the 5 consecutive attacks? I'll return it to you. Just as the 9 Brilliance King was about to teleport away, Jizun appeared behind him. The black pieces shot out from her hands drew a mysterious trajectory in the sky. It seemed like she was drawing some kind of rune formation. The mirror wheel stopped and slowly spat out the incomparably huge energy ball of sunlight. Under the command of Jizun, it bombarded the 9 Brilliance King's back. Together with the 5 luminaries, they attacked the panic-stricken 9 Brilliance King from both sides. Chapter 745. In Yu Yang's opinion, the power of the 6 luminaries' combined attack was equivalent to an atomic bomb explosion. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The feeling of destruction filled the hearts of the people present, and they were all shocked. Dodge! At the first moment, Yu Yang hugged Duo, whose skin could be broken by the wind, and protected her with the Nirvana wings. On the way, he also took Ika's small hand and hid behind the ancient demon king. Actually, the two girls' defense was not weaker than his at all. Yu Yang's action was actually a kind of subconscious reaction. He felt that he had to protect them. Damn it! The ancient demon king also wanted to rescue his subordinates, Yi Xiao and Zi Guang, but Yu Yang used the life chain to hold him back. Moreover, little Wenli also cooperated and used her binding inherent skill to fix the ancient demon king in midair. When the ancient demon king broke free, the big explosion of the 6 luminaries' combined attack had already happened. The terrifying shockwave was like a solid energy shield, spreading outwards crazily. Within the giant shield, everything was in a state of destruction. Yu Su and Bei were scared to the east and west, desperately trying to escape, but they still couldn't escape in time. The big explosion caught up with them, and they fell to the mountain wall 10,000 meters away. Yi Xiao and Zi Guang, who didn't have time to escape, were engulfed by the shock wave of the big explosion under the watchful eyes of the ancient demon king. Hiding in the blood-colored altar, Red's mother couldn't resist this kind of explosion at all, but she pressed some kind of button and closed the entire passage of the altar base. The blood-colored altar and the female statue on it were the only scenery still standing in the explosion range. The Heaven Queen, who had been invisible, also raised a shield at this time. The shield had several golden runic arrays and special spirit beasts guarding it. Even with the power of Heaven Eye's divine vision, Yu Yang couldn't see the truth. After an unknown period of time, after the big explosion destroyed most of the entire mountain valley, it finally gradually subsided. A huge circular gap disappeared in the mountain valley, as if it had been bitten by a tengu. Countless gravel that was shaken into the sky by the shock wave fell down at this time, and the ground sank into a deep pit that was hundreds of meters deep, just like the mouth of a giant prehistoric beast. The only thing that still existed was the blood-colored altar. Its base was still supported by stone pillars, but because the supreme seal did not protect the surroundings, it formed a cylindrical stone pillar, and the surroundings became an abyss. When Yu Yang brought Duo and Ika, he gently landed on the blood-red altar. He found that this blood-red altar, which could not be damaged by ordinary power, was burned by the flames of the big explosion. It was like a hot pot burning people. Under the blood-colored altar base, Ancient Demon rescued Zi Guang, who was hiding there to avoid the big explosion. At this time, Zi Guang's body. Zi Guang was extremely black. In the sky, high up in the sky, there was a figure that had lost consciousness and was falling straight down. In the sky, Queen, King Divine Saint King, if Nightingale had not pushed Zi Guang away, he would have been the one who occupied the position of the stone pillar to avoid the explosion. He had given the opportunity to the purple light, and because he had not been able to dodge in time, he had been sent flying into the sky by the explosion. Although he had not died yet, he had been severely injured and was on the verge of death. If he didn't run far enough, he would have been at the edge of the big explosion's shockwave. With his current strength, he wouldn't have survived. If he hadn't escaped far enough, he would have been at the edge of the explosion's shockwave. With his current strength, he wouldn't have been able to survive in the center of the explosion. After the battle between Nine Brilliance King and Ji Zun, they all felt powerless. After the battle between the Supremes and the Nine Brilliance King, they all felt a sense of helplessness. Even a publicly recognized heaven-rank powerhouse would only be a slightly larger ant in front of a stronger opponent. The power of a king-ranked heaven-ranked expert was too terrifying. The 6 luminaries' combined attack was already so powerful. What about the even more terrifying 9 luminaries combo? Yu Yang looked around. He didn't care about Yu Su, Zi Guang, and the others' lives. He only cared about one person. That person was Ji Zun. Although the 6 luminaries attacked Nine Brilliance King, Ji Zun was also at the center of the big explosion. What happened to her? Did she escape safely, or was she injured? Ji Zun was nowhere to be seen, but the Nine Brilliance King appeared. In the abyss-like pit under the altar, The tall Nine Brilliance King's skin was slightly injured and blood was seeping out. However, his upper body wasn't badly injured. Even the explosion of a lion didn't burn him. Only the tip of his hair was slightly burnt. His face was slightly blackened, which was the only proof that he was at the center of the big explosion. Not only did he not die from the explosion, but he was also unharmed? Was he still human? Yu Yang's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He thought the explosion would at least injure one of Nine Brilliance King's arms, break one of his ribs, or even turn him into a charcoal cellar. But he didn't expect the guy to still be alive. If it wasn't for the injuries left behind by the 6 luminaries combo, Yu Yang would have thought that he had escaped at the last second. He had taken the full brunt of the 6 luminaries' combined attack, but his body wasn't badly injured. This guy was simply a big freak. Yu Yang didn't even have the strength to curse. Of course, he didn't know that although the Nine Brilliance King and the Lionheart King were both king rank experts in the Heaven Realm, their strength far surpassed the average king rank. They were close to the Emperor rank. Putting the Lionheart King aside, the Nine Brilliance King still dared to come even though he knew that not everyone could covet the god's ruins in the Babel Tower. His ambition was obvious. In the Heaven Realm, ambition was proportional to strength. The Nine Brilliance King had the ambition to snatch the god's ruins. This showed how powerful he was. Are you disappointed to see that I'm fine? The Nine Brilliance King looked at Yu Yang, who was shaking his head and sighing. He suddenly said in a serious tone, "Actually, I'm still slightly injured. The power of the 6 luminaries isn't easy to deal with." Hey, are you boasting? Yu Yang couldn't stand it anymore. If this guy wanted to boast about the power of the 6 luminaries, he should have just said it. I can still use the 6 luminaries combo at least 50 more times. How many times can you dodge it? The Nine Brilliance King was about to persuade him to surrender. In his heart, Yu Yang was a genius. If he was willing to cooperate, it would save him a lot of trouble. Moreover, Yu Yang also had Ji Zun, who had mastered the law of space, on his side. With the two of them, the exploration of the god's ruins would be like adding wings to a tiger. They had already succeeded more than half of it before it even started. I might not be able to dodge it even once. Yu Yang raised his brows slightly. A mocking smile appeared in his eyes. Who knows if you don't try? Must we fight to the death? The Nine Brilliance King felt that it wasn't the best ending to fight. My words don't count. Yu Yang suddenly turned into an obedient child. He bowed slightly to the side to show his respect. I'll listen to Master. I won't go wherever Master says. The 6 luminaries is only SOSO. Ji Zun appeared beside Yu Yang with a flash. She was still holding 2 black pieces in her hands. The 2 black pieces that had been condensed for a long time didn't seem to have changed much on the surface. However, there was an earth-shattering change on the inside. The newly condensed black pieces didn't have a core. Now, the 2 black pieces had a special energy core. Their surface was like a black hole that absorbed everything, while the core maintained the small energy black hole on the surface, allowing it to continue. Most importantly, these 2 cores were formed purely from Ji Zun's spirit. They were completely controlled by Ji Zun's will. Once it was activated, they wouldn't be like the previous black pieces that would automatically disappear once they had absorbed enough energy. The current energy black pieces would never disappear unless Ji Zun's will dissipated. They could continue to destroy the enemy. Yu Yang looked at the 2 black pieces. His heart trembled. He suddenly had a feeling of enlightenment. These 2 black dots, if they were expanded 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 100,000 times, 1,000,000 times, and expanded to the size of the black hole space that sealed Empress Fei Wenli, wouldn't that be the seal of an ancient expert, that kind of god? How was the black hole seal created? Yu Yang couldn't figure out this question. Now, he finally found the answer. The real black hole seal was actually a special embodiment of the law of space and supreme will. What Ji Zun had mastered now was the prototype of this black hole space. Although it was far from the black hole seal, she had already comprehended the principle. The only thing she was lacking was the strengthening of energy and will. In the future, she would definitely be able to seal a life into the black hole space like the ancient experts, instead of killing it with one blow like now. Seal, that was a terrifying ability that could even confine souls. If Ji Zun had this ability, not to mention the ancient Devil King, Scarlet Emperor, and Nine Brilliance King, even the Empress who was quietly watching the battle wouldn't be able to escape the seal. Conquest Queen Fei Wenli, who swept across the heaven realm back then, was still imprisoned in the black hole space, unable to break free. Buy me 10 seconds. Ji Zun didn't shoot out the two terrifying black pieces. Instead, she kept them and continued to condense them. She signaled Yu Yang to cover for her. The six-winged blood angel that had been flying around her began to transform into the humanoid divine soldier of the blood-winged angel. Yes. Compared to Yu Yang's war god attendant and feather sisters, the six-winged blood angel wasn't as good in terms of potential and continuous power. However, it was much better in terms of transformation and compatibility with its master. The war god attendant and feather sisters couldn't transform into the real humanoid divine soldier yet. However, the six-winged blood angel could transform instantly and greatly enhance Ji Zun's power. With the sword in her hand, Ji Zun's aura changed. Her aura was like a high mountain that people couldn't look up to. With her supreme will, her aura wasn't any weaker than the Nine Brilliance Kings. A blood-red pillar of light soared into the sky from the humanoid divine soldier in her hand. Ji Zun summoned a diamond grimoire that was already very close to the holy grimoire. Her left hand casually flipped a page. The entire space immediately changed. The ancient Devil King's blazing stone hell shattered the six luminaries, but he still controlled the space around the blood-red altar. Since the Nine Brilliance King participated in the battle, his will also controlled this space. Even the Scarlet Emperor and the Empress Consciousness were secretly watching. However, when Ji Zun flipped a page, the will, consciousness, and domain of the entire space were shattered and destroyed. What replaced it was a supreme will that made one tremble in fear. The supreme Ji Zun's will immediately locked onto the Nine Brilliance King. Although Ji Zun hadn't made her move yet, Yu Yang felt that no matter where the Nine Brilliance King fled to, no matter how fast he was, he wouldn't be able to dodge Ji Zun's slash. The Nine Brilliance King's expression changed for the second time. He also felt the same sense of crisis. Could it be that he couldn't even dodge a single slash from his opponent? If he couldn't dodge it, what would that mean? It was a complete suppression in terms of realm and will. If he took the slash head-on, the consequences would probably be, the Heavenly Queen, who had been silent all this while, suddenly gave up watching the battle and spoke for the first time. These two kids are quite interesting. Whether it's the girl with a strong aura or the boy who has been hiding his strength and not going all out, they both make one curious. The Tong Tian Tower is indeed a good place. There are so many geniuses among the younger generation. Even I am tempted by them. Dong Yao, you don't mind me sticking my nose into your business, do you? Dong Yao doesn't dare to disobey the ancestors' wishes. The Nine Brilliance King was overjoyed. He felt that with the ancestors' help, Yu Yang and Ji Zun would be captured even if they didn't die. Once they took them down, it would be equivalent to obtaining the key to the gods' ruins. As for the ancient Demon King, if he succeeded in exploring the gods' ruins, there was no need for him to keep such an ally. The ancient treasures in the gods' ruins were only suitable for the warriors of the Nine Brilliance race. They could never nurture a formidable enemy. Block her for 10 seconds. Ji Zun seemed to have predicted that the Empress would make a move. She repeated her instructions. Yes. Yu Yang swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Although the Empress was unimaginably powerful, Yu Yang was still confident that he could block her for 10 seconds. However, the Nine Brilliance King and the Ancient Demon King were filled with disbelief when they heard it. Yu Yang could block the Empress for 10 seconds? What did 10 seconds mean to an Emperor-rank expert in the heaven world? It was enough to destroy the entire White River Valley several times over. Even if Yu Yang could block the Empress for 10 seconds, so what? Did Ji Zun have the confidence to kill the Nine Brilliance King within 10 seconds? Even without the Ancient Devil King and the Scarlet Darch keeping an eye on him, who could kill the Nine Brilliance King within 10 seconds with the strength of a Heaven Realm monarch? Even the three magnates of the Heaven World and the First Hall Master of the Central Divine World wouldn't dare to say something like that. Yet, the confidence displayed by Ji Zun, that unquestionable and undeniable fighting spirit, was so real. 10, 9, 8, 7. The Scarlet Darch, who was hiding in the Grimoire world, was elated. He deliberately added to the chaos by counting. Whether Ji Zun could kill the Nine Brilliance King or not, he was happy to see Yu Yang being defeated while blocking the Empress of Heaven. In the Scarlet Thearcha's mind, it would be best if both sides suffered heavy injuries and even the Ancient Demon King fell to the ground. That would be the greatest reward for him. Kill. Ji Zun raised her humanoid divine weapon. Her eyes shot out a holy radiance that could judge everything. With this, no one doubted her anymore. The Nine Brilliance King's expression changed for the third time. He who wanted to laugh out loud became extremely serious. He furrowed his brows and clenched his fists to accumulate energy. It was unknown whether he was going to face the attack or dodge. Chapter 746. The Heaven Empress had arrived. She arrived in an instant. Her speed was indescribable. She reached out her hand and pressed it on the sovereign's head. Yu Yang turned pale with fright. He didn't have time to stop her. He realized that he couldn't even delay her for a second. Fortunately, he had been maintaining the creation domain with his consciousness. At the most dangerous moment, the creation domain teleported the sovereign's true body behind Yu Yang, leaving behind an illusory image to confuse the Heaven Empress. To Yu Yang's surprise, the Heaven Empress didn't get confused by the illusory image. She passed through it and arrived in front of Yu Yang. The same move. She reached out her left hand and pressed it on the top of Yu Yang's head. At this moment, the sense of danger in Yu Yang's heart was no less than the Nine Brilliance King's. An inexplicable shadow of death crept into Yu Yang's heart, shaking his soul. The Scarlet Darch and the Ancient Demon King finally understood that the Heaven Empress didn't want to kill the sovereign, but Yu Yang. The sovereign was stronger than Yu Yang, so it wouldn't be easy to kill her. Yu Yang was different. No matter how monstrous he was, his realm was too far away from the Heaven Empress. It wasn't something that could be made up for with talent. If the Heaven Empress wanted to kill Yu Yang, the sovereign would definitely stop her. She took advantage of the fact that the sovereign was busy dealing with the Nine Brilliance King to kill Yu Yang. What a treacherous old woman! The Scarlet Darch cursed in his heart. Although he didn't like Yu Yang, he didn't like the Nine Brilliance King and the Heaven Empress either. The alliance between the two was just a mutual benefit. The Heaven Empress' merciless action of using the Nine Brilliance King as bait to lure the sovereign to kill Yu Yang sent chills down his spine. The Nine Brilliance King was only a bait to the Heaven Empress. What was he? It seemed like what happened to Yu Yang today would be his tomorrow. It would be too naive of him to think that the Empress and the Nine Brilliance King would be merciful enough to share some benefits with their allies after opening the God's ruins. Let alone him, it was hard to say if the Empress would kill the Nine Brilliance King and take everything for herself after opening the God's ruins. If this continued, he would probably follow in Yu Yang's footstep. The expression of the Ancient Demon King was also unsightly. The Heavenly Queen's ruthlessness was undoubtedly the basic characteristic of a super expert. What she did was not wrong. However, those who achieved great things had to be decisive in killing. What the Empress did was naturally the most reasonable. However, doing so would make one's heart turn cold. The Ancient Devil King watched quietly. Under his gaze, the Empress completely ignored the Nine Brilliance King, who was still locked onto by the aura of a supremacy. She pressed her palm down heavily. Although the Empress' palm was not big, the ancient Demon King felt that this palm could flatten a mountain, dry up the ocean, and split the earth. If it were him, he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand it. The ancient Demon King really wanted to see if his mortal enemy, Yu Yang, could withstand the Empress' palm. If he could withstand it, then what method did he use? Ah! Yu Yang, who was shrouded in the shadow of death, exploded. A world-shaking change occurred in the creation domain. All the energy and will interweaved into a huge wheel of runes, the Wheel of Eternity. However, the Empress' palm was still able to go against Yu Yang's will and slowly press down, even under the restriction of the Wheel of Eternity. That palm landed on Yu Yang's forehead without making a sound. An unbearable pain immediately appeared on Yu Yang's face. He felt as if his head was about to explode. It was a terrifying power. Under the Empress' will, the Wheel of Eternity flowed against the defense and penetrated deeply. What surprised the Scarlet Dharch and the ancient Demon King was that Yu Yang didn't run away like he usually did. One must know that Yu Yang was the most cunning of them all. In normal battles, he would always escape as soon as there was any danger. But now, under the Empress' palm, not only did Yu Yang not take a step back, he even took the initiative to fight back. Strange, could it be that he knew he couldn't keep his life and decided to fight to the death? Behind Yu Yang, little Wenli turned into a huge golden snake demon with the support of the power of the law. Not only her, but even Duo and Ika's bodies had different obvious changes. Duo turned into a 100-meter-tall golden-crowned thorny flower queen and waved countless golden petals to block the Nine Brilliance King's attack. Ika's body didn't grow, but a 10-meter-tall golden figure rose into the sky and aimed at the Nine Brilliance King with a golden cannon. Little Wenli, who had turned into a huge golden snake demon, didn't move. She just lowered her body. She stared at the Empress with her huge golden eyes. The power of the law, the will of the divine beast, and the binding innate skill were used to stop the Empress who was chasing after Yu Yang. The Wheel of Eternity on the ground, and little Wenli's huge eyes in the sky. The Empress' palm that could flatten mountains. She finally stopped. Slash! Jizun jumped up and pressed her left hand on Yu Yang's shoulder. Using the power of the law in his body, and the support of the innate invisible sword Qi, she turned the divine weapon in her hand towards the Empress and slashed down. Yu Yang and she had never cooperated before. Moreover, Yu Yang and Jizun didn't know that the Empress would suddenly attack. It was an impromptu change of target and reaction. However, Yu Yang and Jizun, who had never cooperated before, had a tacit understanding as if they had rehearsed it thousands of times. It was as if they were working together to counterattack. Yu Yang had never tried to use someone else's body to release the innate invisible sword Qi. Even the two sisters, Yao and Yu, were still trying to figure it out. Now, he was using Jizun's body and the divine weapon in Jizun's hands. It was as perfect as if he was doing it himself. There was even a kind of yin energy and Jizun's will that was similar to Shui Wuxia and the others. The sword slashed down. The Empress obviously made a dodging action. However, little Wenli, with the power of the law, the will of the divine beast and the binding innate skill, firmly locked the Empress in midair. If the Empress hadn't stepped into the eternal wheel and the creation domain, she might have been able to escape. Aya! The Empress screamed. Jizun's divine weapon had already slashed across the Empress' shoulder, from her chest to her lower abdomen, leaving a long sword mark. With a slash, Jizun seemed to have lost all her strength. Her body went limp and she almost fell. Yu Yang was about to retreat with Jizun. However, the Empress immediately counterattacked. A ribbon shot out from the Empress' sleeves. Its power was even sharper than the sword Qi. The soft ribbon, in the hands of a Heaven Realm Emperor Ranker, was also the most terrifying killing weapon. The ribbon shot straight at Ji Zun's forehead, intending to pierce through her forehead. Yu Yang threw out the Pisces ribbon, wanting to entangle the ribbon shot out from the Empress' sleeves. Who would have thought that the ribbon controlled by the Empress, like a poisonous snake, would bypass the Pisces ribbon treasure's entanglement and lashed at the left side of Yu Yang's face like a whip, leaving a terrifying wound on Yu Yang's face. The ribbon went around Yu Yang's neck and continued to shoot towards Ji Zun behind him. Ji Zun, who was exhausted, could not escape this entanglement. Moreover, if she left, the ribbon would immediately be retracted. At that time, Yu Yang's neck would most likely be broken by the Empress. Even if Yu Yang's neck was not broken, she would still be able to successfully strangle him. Ji Zun reached out and grabbed the ribbon. At the moment when the ribbon was about to strangle her beautiful neck and kill Yu Yang, Ji Zun pounced forward and her whole body hit Yu Yang's back. The divine weapon in her hand passed through the gap between Yu Yang's ribs, narrowly brushing past Yu Yang's heart and piercing the palm of the Empress. Yu Yang was hit by Ji Zun and his whole body shot towards the Empress like a cannonball. The Empress stretched out her hand and pressed her palm heavily on Yu Yang's chest. Yu Yang spat out blood and condensed it into Qi Shao's sword. Together with the black Gui Tsang sword and white Shuanghua sword in his left and right hands, they nailed the Empress' shoulder and arm. Damn it! The Empress could not bear the pain and anger. Her eyes quickly turned into a blazing gold like the sun. 2 rays of golden light broke out of her eyes and shot towards Yu Yang. Ji Zun pulled the seriously injured Yu Yang and stood in front of him. The 2 rays of golden light that were 10,000 times sharper than arrows easily penetrated Ji Zun and pierced through her body. They then pierced through the body of Yu Yang, who was protected by the Nirvana flame armor and nailed into the ground, creating 2 bottomless holes on the indestructible blood-red altar. Fortunately, because of Ji Zun's protection, Yu Yang did not let the 2 rays of golden light hit his vital parts. Otherwise, his life might have been in danger. Yu Yang's blood and Ji Zun's blood mixed together. The Nirvana flame burned fiercely. It was completely different from usual. It not only protected Yu Yang, but also protected Ji Zun, who was in Yu Yang's arms. You guys have really surprised me. For thousands of years, no one has been able to hurt my body, let alone such a heavy injury. The Empress' cloak shattered, revealing the appearance of a kind-looking old granny. However, her words were as cold as ice. Young people like you will be a disaster when you grow up. In order for the Heaven Realm to have a few days of peace in the future, I have no choice but to break my previous promise and send you on your way. The shame of Fei Wenli sweeping through the Heaven Realm, I will never let it repeat its mistake. Stop her for another 10 seconds. Ji Zun struggled out of Yu Yang's arms and spat out a mouthful of blood onto the humanoid divine weapon in her hand. Then, she used the blood on her hands that were stained with Yu Yang's blood and quickly drew a rune diagram on the humanoid divine weapon. Yu Yang nodded. He slowly closed his eyes and slowly drew a circle with his hands. At this moment, the creation domain was changing endlessly. A Milky Way river of comets was being born. The Empress was extremely fast. She didn't wait for Yu Yang to finish condensing the comet's river and hit Yu Yang's chest with her palm. Yu Yang fell down and hit Ji Zun, who was drawing the rune diagram in blood. Both of them fell down at the same time. The Empress instantly caught up and slammed her palm down again, ready to kill both of them at the same time. Behind her, the gigantic Empress of Heaven's might had already repelled Xiao Wenli's golden snake demon's protection. When Duo and Ika were in urgent need of help, the Empress could even find the time to summon her grimoire and the 2 old twins. These 2 old men whose strength surpassed the 9 Brilliance King were her guardian warbeasts, the Grand Wizard Duo. After repelling Duo and Ika, the Grand Wizard Duo stood with the Empress. 3 palms pressed towards Yu Yang and Ji Zun. In order to eliminate potential juniors, they no longer cared about identity, honor, promises, and oaths. Back then, In order to obtain the support of Tong Tian Tower's rankers, they had once admitted that they would never kill Tong Tian Tower's juniors with potential. Back then, when they had submitted to Fei Wenli, the conquering queen, they had once sworn that they would never become enemies with Tong Tian Tower's juniors. In fact, when the three great leaders fought the prison emperor to the death, they had even expressed their desire to live in peace. Because of the decline of the descendants of Tong Tian Tower, they had long forgotten all of this. Sword of Life. Ji Zun thrust out the human divine weapon in her hand, which was shining with colorful brilliance because of her and Yu Yang's blood. Halfway through, Yu Yang took it and controlled the human divine weapon. Ji Zun, who had abandoned the sword, bounced over Yu Yang like a bowstring. Her soft body climbed up the Sword of Life and held the two black chess pieces that everyone had ignored in her hands. You're courting death. The Empress felt a sense of danger from Ji Zun's strong counterattack. At the same time that the heavy palm hit Ji Zun's chest, Yu Yang took over the control of the Sword of Life. It mysteriously pierced through Ji Zun's clothes and slid through her skin. It did not hurt Ji Zun at all, but accurately pierced the palm of the Empress. It penetrated deeply into the Empress's shoulder. The Empress was hit by the sword and her body shook violently. Ji Zun resisted the heavy palm force and waved her hands like a fairy scattering flowers. Her body was spinning deliciously. Her hands clasped the black chess pieces tightly. At the same time, it hit the Empress's left and right ears. Die! The Grand Wizard duo and their master felt the same way. They burst out with all their strength and punched heavily, intending to smash Ji Zun and Yu Yang, who were struggling to death. Get lost. Two shadows flashed out of Yu Yang's body at the same time. One was the hornless dragon who was so angry that she could not control the power of the dragon god. The other was the ice Qilin who had a frosty face and frowned eyebrows. They kicked out almost at the same time. Before the Grand Wizard duo could hit Ji Zun and Yu Yang, they kicked the two old men away. Chapter 747. You have guardian war beasts? Nine Brilliance King was speechless. He couldn't understand how many guardian war beasts Yu Yang had. The reason why the ancestor, the Sky Empress, was able to stand out from the Nine Light Clan in the Heaven Realm and become the strongest Sky Empress was because she had two guardian beasts that resembled twin brothers. The Grand Wizard and Grand Wizard were born in human form and were guardian war beasts. They were extremely intelligent and proficient in the combat skills of all the male experts in the Nine Brilliance Clan. Therefore, the descendants of the Nine Brilliance Clan called them the Grand Wizard. Once the Grand Wizard and Grand Wizard fought, they could not only enhance each other's strength, but their minds were also as one. When they worked together, they could unleash at least 10 times the power of a single person. The Heaven Empress with two guardian war beasts could grow into an emperor-level expert in the Heaven Realm. How powerful would Yu Yang be if he didn't kill the little snake monster, Battle Angel, Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen and Hornless Dragon? The Nine Brilliance King shuddered at the thought. In fact, he didn't know that at the entrance of White River Valley a few hundred kilometers away, there were Red who had already become a divine beast, a man who never got tired, Spirit of Heaven Fire. Of course, there were also the Phoenix Sisters who were even more powerful. Immortal Beast, Qilin Girl of the Eastern Immortal Tribe? Ancient Demon King felt a little dizzy when he saw Qilin Girl Bing-Yin. The Scarlet Emperor's expression changed drastically. They all knew that it was a terrible thing to make enemies with the Eastern Immortal Tribe, no matter how powerful they were. The Eastern Immortal Tribe was a surprisingly kind race. They weren't interested in invading. Of course, the rich and abundant Heaven Realm was just a small village in their eyes. They didn't care about invading Heaven Realm at all, just like how rich people living in the imperial capital wouldn't go to the countryside to fight with farmers for land. Whatever the reason, the Eastern Immortal Tribe had never invaded Heaven Realm. Occasionally, young immortals would come to Heaven Realm for sightseeing. The residents of Heaven Realm knew about the Eastern Immortal Tribe mainly from the Eastern Goblin Tribe, who were exiled by the Eastern Goblin Tribe. These Eastern Goblin tribesmen, even if they were criminals banished by the Eastern Celestial Tribe, still possessed a terrifying power that would stun the residents of the Heaven Realm. Moreover, some sages who were more adventurous had once made a deduction. They had found some clues based on ancient documents and various ancient relics, and came to this conclusion: the residents of the Heaven Realm, other than a portion of them who did not have a human form and could not transform into a human, were the descendants of the ancient aboriginals. Many humanoid or humanoid beasts, or even beasts that could transform into humans, were the descendants of the criminals who had been banished from the Eastern Immortal Tribe since the ancient era, just like the descendants of the Eastern Goblin Tribe, who had been banished from the Heaven Realm for tens of thousands of years. Because it was so ancient, the earliest it could be more than 1,000,000 years old. Every time the criminals were exiled, it was at a different time. Some were recorded 1,000,000 years ago, some were recorded 1,000,000 years later, some were recorded 100,000 years ago, and even more were recorded 100,000 years later. Among the descendants of the criminals, only a few of the direct descendants remembered the continuation of their ancestors. Most of the collateral and hybrid bloodlines had lost their root. They forgot all about their ancestors and created another civilization, which was the current Heaven Realm. Many of their descendants married with the aboriginals, giving birth to different races, beasts, and even beasts. When the beasts mixed with each other, new races were born continuously. Regarding the research topic of the Heaven Realm residents being the descendants of the Eastern Immortal Tribe, the sages also proposed a point of proof. Why couldn't the summoning grimoire be used to contract a life form other than a human form? Even the Eastern Goblin Tribe couldn't easily contract a summoning grimoire. No matter if it was the Eastern Goblin Tribe, Heaven Realm rankers, or beasts, they all had to have a human form. If they didn't know how to transform into a human and didn't have intelligence, it would be impossible for them to be recognized by the summoning grimoire. Some people could contract a grimoire when they were only Earth rank. Some rankers were already Heaven rank, but they couldn't contract a grimoire for life. There were many reasons, but after research, the biggest reason was that they didn't have a human form. Thus, the sages came to a conclusion. The summoning grimoire was indeed created by the gods of the ancient era, but those gods of the ancient era were none other than the mysterious Eastern Immortal Tribe. They didn't create the summoning grimoire just to increase the strength of the Heaven Realm beings. Instead, they gave the Heaven Realm beings a chance to cultivate and grow. With the help of the summoning grimoire, the Heaven Realm beings would continue to grow. Gradually, they would be able to wake up from their confusion and return to the Eastern Immortal Tribe. If they wanted to return to the Eastern Immortal Tribe and return to the world of the gods would definitely not accept them if they looked messy. They must look like the gods. This was also the reason why, no matter what race, as long as they were the grimoire holders, they would definitely be able to transform into a human. Another point was that the summoning grimoire could also be owned by a beast, but it must be a divine beast with a human form. No matter how powerful the beast was, as long as it lacked these two basic conditions, it wouldn't be able to contract a summoning grimoire. The sages believed that the summoning grimoire was a seed that the gods bestowed to the Heaven Realm beings. Not only did it increase the grimoire holder's battle power, it could also help the owner awaken. Of course, most of the grimoire holders were lost in the power and didn't truly awaken. The truly awakened rankers, without exception, had all left the Heaven Realm. They had all become gods. If these gods didn't go to the Eastern Immortal Tribe's world, why didn't they return? This would only happen if they awakened and returned. If not, there would definitely be many gods in charge of the Heaven Realm today. In the Heaven Realm, many rankers had formed a custom, which was not to attack, capture or harm the lives of the Eastern Immortal Tribe at will. Whether it was for sightseeing or training, or for other reasons, as long as they came, they must secretly pay attention and not interfere with their actions. If there was any force that dared to attack the Eastern Immortal Tribe, they would definitely be the target of public criticism. Maybe a sneak attack. Someone would dare to do it. Even the Central Divine Palace, which was the most powerful and arrogant in the Heaven Realm, wouldn't dare to do that. Oh no. The ancient Demon King was an old ghost that had been around for tens of thousands of years. He naturally knew the pros and cons. Whether this Qilin girl could be killed or not, if he killed this Qilin girl today within a few days, there would be tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of Eastern Goblin tribe attacking. The scariest thing was, at that time, no one in the entire Heaven Realm would dare to help. If even tens of thousands of Eastern Goblin tribe couldn't be killed, the Eastern Immortal Tribe would definitely send people to kill them. Even if they killed a large number of Eastern Goblin tribe, or caused a long war in the Heaven Realm, causing mountains of corpses and seas of blood, the Eastern Immortal Tribe would still send people to seal them. Back then, many all-powerful experts were sealed underground. Even the Queen Vivian Li who swept through the Heaven Realm couldn't escape the fate of being sealed. Although the ancient Demon King didn't know who sealed Queen Vivian Li, he guessed that even if it wasn't someone from the Eastern Immortal Tribe, it would be someone who had awakened and was about to return to the Eastern Immortal Tribe. They were also the gods that the Heaven Realm residents called. The Scarlet Emperor sneaked a glance at the ancient Demon King. He didn't care about the ancient Demon King's attitude. He didn't care what the ancient Demon King's attitude was. He would definitely not attack Yu Yang again. Especially not that Qilin girl. Unless he was retarded, he wouldn't do such a stupid thing like attacking the Eastern Immortal Tribe. Yu Yang wasn't an ordinary person. He could have so many guardian beasts and Qilin girl as his companion. Maybe he was from the Eastern Immortal Tribe. His powerful mother might also be from the Eastern Immortal Tribe. If not, how could she enter the gods' ruins? If not for the Eastern Immortal Tribe, how could this brat be so abnormal? At such a young age, he already had the world-exterminating wheel and the eternal wheel. He also had Nirvana Flame. He also had the sword Qi that even the Empress couldn't defend against, and countless guardian beasts. No matter how much he hated him, he could only kill him secretly. The Scarlet Emperor definitely wouldn't do this in front of everyone. He didn't want the entire Heaven Realm's Eastern Goblin tribe to surround him. He also didn't want the Heaven Realm's Goblin Emperors and Goblin Emperors to break their oath and tear him into pieces. Those were all abnormal people that even the Heaven Realm's great leaders didn't want to provoke. If not for the ancient oath, if not for the hope of returning home, who knows if they would have destroyed the Heaven Realm. Supreme Dragon God's divine power. The Empress painfully dispersed the innate sword Qi on her shoulder and arm. She didn't look at Qilin girl Bingyin, but at hornless dragon Jiangying who couldn't control her power. Suddenly, her body began to tremble as if she had remembered something terrifying. She pointed at hornless dragon Jiangying and screamed, "Where did you inherit the divine power? Mystic dragon, did you release that guy?" Yu Yang was stunned. This Empress actually knew about Mo Long? Mo Long. The Scarlet Emperor was slightly better. After all, he was a descendant and had only heard of the legend of Mo Long. However, the ancient Demon King was much closer to the era of Mo Long than the Scarlet Emperor. It was definitely an unforgettable memory for this peerless villain. The ancient Demon King was speechless. If Yu Yang was Mo Long's relative, they wouldn't be able to fight this battle. Even if he wanted to kill Yu Yang, the Empress would probably stop him. After all, the Nine Brilliance clan, Eastern Goblin Tribe and Eastern Celestial Tribe had a deep relationship. The ancient ancestor of the Nine Brilliance clan, Luoho, was said to be friends with Mo Long. Just as the ancient Demon King and the Scarlet Emperor were about to escape to avoid being caught by the Empress and the Nine Brilliance King and presented to Yu Yang as a gift, suddenly they heard a voice of disbelief. The Empress screamed, "Kill, kill them! The Nine Brilliance clan wants to rise again, we can't let them live. We can't let Mo Long and the Eastern Goblin tribe know about what happened today. Kill them all. The gods' ruins can only belong to us, the Nine Brilliance clan." Even the ancient demon king and the Scarlet Emperor were shocked when they heard this. It can't be? They really wanted to ask if the Empress had gone senile with age. Openly challenging the Eastern Goblin tribe and Eastern Celestial tribe? Even if they wanted to get the gods' ruins, they couldn't do it so openly. There were so many people, and they still wanted to kill them all? Chapter 748. The Heaven Empress saw Qilin girl Bing Yin and hornless dragon Jiang Ying. She even knew that the demon dragon was born, yet she still wanted to silence them? Was she brain damaged because Ji Zun hit 2 black dots in her head? The Scarlet Emperor and the ancient demon king both wanted to kill Yu Yang. They yearned for it. However, neither the Scarlet Emperor, who had fought a bloody battle with Yu Yang, nor the ancient demon king, who schemed to replace Yu Yang's identity, dared to make it public. At least they did not dare to do it in front of outsiders. In this world, there were many things that could not be done in public. Once it was made public, the consequences would be severe. Even if they succeeded in killing Yu Yang, it would be a disaster if it was leaked out. The Scarlet Emperor and the ancient demon king had the confidence to ally with the Nine Light clan to kill Yu Yang together with the Nine Light king and the Heaven Empress before they knew that Yu Yang and Ji Zun could fight against the Heaven Empress. But now they no longer had that confidence. To the Scarlet Emperor, not only did the Qilin girl Bing Yin reappear, she was much stronger than before. There was also the hornless dragon who inherited the dragon god's supreme divine power. What did this mean? The Qilin girl was not just a passerby, but an immortal beast that truly protected Yu Yang. Similarly, the hornless dragon Jiang Ying, who inherited the dragon god's supreme divine power, was his guardian beast. Now he wanted to attack Yu Yang? Don't even think about it. The ancient demon king did not know that Yu Yang had an immortal beast protecting him. The Scarlet Emperor did not share all the information with him. Otherwise, he would have reconsidered and would not have made such a move. Now that Yu Yang had the protection of the immortal beast and was related to the demon dragon, the first thought that came to the ancient demon king's mind was not to kill him, but to find a place to sleep. He wanted to avoid Yu Yang like how he avoided Emperor Wu Shuang, Conquest Queen Fei Wenli, and Prison Emperor. The current Yu Yang was unstoppable. Even if the Prison Emperor used his life to seal the 3 great leaders of Heaven Realm, they would not be able to stop this Yu clan third young master, yes. What surprised the Scarlet Darch and the ancient demon king even more was that the Nine Brilliance king nodded in agreement. Was this guy also retarded? The Heaven Empress head was hit by the black pieces. Even though she didn't explode, she was still severely injured. It was reasonable to say that she was retarded. The Nine Brilliance king's head wasn't hit at all. The Scarlet Darch and the ancient demon king exchanged glances with one another. They both felt that the Nine Brilliance king was too crazy and unreasonable. However, the Nine Brilliance king knew that he wasn't an idiot. The Empress was right. If the Nine Glory clan wanted to rise again in the Heaven Realm, they had to obtain the secret treasure of the gods' ruins. They had to eliminate Yu Yang and Ji Zun, and they had to silence everyone present. This was not only a matter of provoking the Eastern Immortal tribe, but also the demon dragon, the supreme dragon god, and a secret from 100,000 years ago. The distant ancestor of the Nine Brilliance race, Luo Ho, was a murderer who was not inferior to the demon dragon. He was extremely evil and took pleasure in committing evil. Relying on his strength, he committed many evil deeds in the Heaven Realm that angered both humans and gods. After that, he was hunted down by experts from all walks of life. Moreover, it even alarmed the supreme dragon god, who personally issued an arrest warrant for him. With nowhere to run, Luo Ho decided to turn himself in. He used the betrayal of his good friend, the demon dragon, as a condition to clear his name. However, because he had done too many bad things and committed heinous crimes, it was difficult for him to change his nature. Even after he betrayed the mystic dragon and decided to turn himself in, he still slaughtered some of his enemies' families and pretended to repent for his sins. In the end, he was beheaded by the supreme dragon god and his soul was taken away, causing his body and soul to be destroyed forever. The same betrayal happened 10,000 years ago. Back then, the powerful Queen Vivian Li rose to power and swept across the entire heaven realm. Almost no one was a match for her. The 9 Brilliance Races Emperor and 2 Empresses pledged their allegiance to her. In the process of conquering the heaven realm, the 9 Brilliance race was extremely loyal and courageous. They were even more respectful to Queen Vivian Li. No one knew that Queen Vivian Li's seal was the betrayal and accusation of the 9 Brilliance Races Emperor and 2 Empresses. Although the 9 Brilliance Races Emperor and 2 Empresses were killed by the furious Conquest Queen, leaving only the current Empress, the 9 Brilliance race had won the ruling power of the Western Heaven Realm for nearly 10,000 years. She is Fei Wenli's daughter, kill her. The Empress had an inexplicable suspicion from the beginning, but she was not sure. After all, Queen Vivian Li had been sealed for 10,000 years, and it was impossible for her to return to the world. Later on, Little Wenli's performance and battles were very similar to Fei Wenli's. Especially after she became a golden snake demon with the power of the ancient code, it evoked deep memories of the Empress. In the end, she was 100% sure that Little Wenli was Fei Wenli's daughter. It was the shield that Little Wenli held up when Yu Yang was in danger. That was the snake demon protection that the Empress remembered deeply. In the heaven realm, it was also known as the Empress Divine Shield. There was no mistaking it. If Little Wenli was Fei Wenli's daughter, it proved that Fei Wenli, the conquering queen, would soon return to the heaven realm. Under such circumstances, the Empress could not let Yu Yang and Little Wenli live. Moreover, even without the threat of Fei Wenli, there was still the demon dragon. The betrayal of the ancestors would definitely cause the demon dragon to come to the door. Without the god's ruins' divine blood, divine body, and other ancient relics, how could she fight against the demon dragon and Fei Wenli? Don't leave a single one alive, kill them all. The first person the Empress attacked was not Yu Yang, nor Ji Zun, but Yi Xiao and Zi Guang, who were previously seriously injured. The ancient demon king used the fastest speed in his life to save Zi Guang. Yi Xiao, who could not save Zi Guang in time, looked deeply at the ancient demon king. Without hesitation, he rushed towards the Empress. Self-destruction. The Empress was shaken by Yi Xiao's self-destruction, but she did not hesitate and immediately rushed towards the ancient demon king. Her target was Zi Guang, who was beside the ancient demon king, while the 2 elders went for Yu Su and Bei. The 9 Brilliance king also rushed towards the Scarlet Emperor. As long as he killed everyone, with the help of the 9 Brilliance clan's relic in the Empress hand, no one would know what happened today. As long as he could obtain the god's ruins treasure, the 9 Brilliance king did not mind killing all the residents of the Tong Tian Tower. The current soaring dragon continent, heaven stairway, and demon abyss were no longer the blessed land of gods that was filled with experts, unshakable, and geniuses. Dong Yao, you will regret this. The Scarlet Emperor laughed in anger. As long as he could escape, he would expose the truth even if the Eastern Celestial Tribe had to remain sealed forever. He would let the 9 Brilliance clan have a taste of extermination. It would be fine if he killed Yu Yang and Ji Zun, but these audacious 9 Brilliance clan actually wanted to silence them? Wasn't this forcing him to fight the ancient demon king? The Scarlet Emperor was sure that he was not the only one who could not bear it. The ancient demon king would not be able to bear this humiliation either. The Guardian Divine Shield, a 4-star divine weapon, appeared from the Scarlet Emperor's body. It blocked the 9 Brilliance king's palm. Ancient Devil King attacked Heaven Queen, but who would have thought that Heaven Queen's eyes would shoot out two beams of golden light at an incomparably fast speed. One of them pierced through Ancient Devil King's arm, while the other pierced through Ziguang's chest. No! The Ancient Demon King was going crazy. If he still had the body of a Demon King, if it wasn't for the fact that he had fought with Yu Yang so hard that he didn't even have a human body anymore, how could he not be able to withstand a single attack from the Heaven Queen? The heavily injured Ziguang smiled, just like Yi Xiao who had self-destructed. With blood dripping from the corner of his lips, he shouted, "Your Majesty, let's go! Let's go!" Ziguang pounced towards the Empress with the same intention as Yi Xiao. Even if he could not hurt the Empress, stopping her for a second was better than doing nothing. He would not be able to live. "I hope your Majesty can leave safely." How could the Ancient Demon King not understand Ziguang's heart? He roared in pain and left Ziguang to face the Empress alone. He teleported to Yu Su's side and used his body to take the fatal blow for Yu Su. He protected Yu Su with a white bone cage and threw her tens of thousands of meters away. When the Ancient Demon King tried to save North after taking the punch, he found that North had already been killed by the Grand Witch. He exploded into pieces of flesh and blood. He looked back again. Ziguang did not even have the time to self-destruct. Heaven Empress crushed his head and destroyed his soul. "Scarlet Emperor, I'll help you leave this place." The Ancient Demon King clenched his teeth when he saw the Scarlet Emperor being beaten back by the Nine Brilliance King. He decided not to run anymore. He would get the Scarlet Emperor out of here with the Guardian Divine Shield. This would be the biggest blow to the Nine Brilliance race. "Don't get dizzy, I can hold on. Go and look after Ji Zun and give her time to recover." The Scarlet Emperor did not appreciate it. He thought that the best way was to let Ji Zun recover as soon as possible. As long as she was alive, they would have a chance to severely injure the Empress. Ji Zun still had two black chess pieces in the Empress' head that had yet to explode. The Scarlet Emperor thought that no matter how strong the Empress was, she would not be able to expel the two black chess pieces. She could only suppress it with some kind of power. The longer the suppression lasted, the more serious the Empress' injuries would be. As long as Ji Zun could recover, the Empress would be able to make Ji Zun explode the black chess pieces and severely injure her. Damned fate! The Ancient Demon King let out a sorrowful cry. The enemy that he had been scheming against was now someone that he had to protect. Why was this happening? This damned fate was playing with him mercilessly. Yu Su, who had been bounced out from the white bone cage, was about to enter the grimoire world. The Empress ribbon flew towards him. It wrapped around his waist. In the next second, the Empress would arrive in front of him and crush him like a bug. Yu Su roared. He pulled out his sword and cut his body in half. When his body entered the grimoire world, the Empress had already released a destructive shockwave that turned Yu Su's lower body and the mountain behind him into ashes. "He's not dead yet. In the future, send someone to guard him. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse." The Empress' expression changed slightly. She was unhappy that Yu Su had escaped. Annoying old witch. The Qilin girl, Bing Yin, was flushed with anger when she saw the Empress' crazy massacre. She had never seen such a shameless person. If it wasn't for the fact that she had to heal Yu Yang and Ji Zun, she would definitely stop it. However, Yu Yang and Ji Zun were in danger. Not only did she have to save them, she also had to guard them. Dragon's might. The hornless dragon was actually still sleeping in the chaos, but when she found that Yu Yang's life was in danger, she couldn't help but rush out. She hadn't fully integrated the dragon god's divine power, so she couldn't control it well. What she could control was only a small part of the total. Jiang Yan's dragon's might came out. The whole world of the blood-colored altar in White River Valley seemed to be controlled by a giant hand above their heads. Even the powerful ancient Devil King and Red Emperor had a difficult feeling that they couldn't lift their heads and leave. The two elders of the ancestral sorcerer suddenly slowed down when they attacked the Qilin girl Bing-yin, who was healing Yu Yang and Ji Zun. Ika and Duo, who were not affected by the dragon's might, took the opportunity to repel the two old men. Boom! On the other side, little Wen Li didn't need the blessing of Yu Yang's power of law, and automatically transformed into a golden snake demon. She stretched out her 6 giant arms and fiercely shook the golden statue of the Empress above the Empress' head. In the distant valley, the giant Loli, who had just defeated the mountain giant, seemed to sense the danger of Yu Yang. She desperately climbed the mountain peak and went straight over the mountain peak. The golden statue of the Empress and little Wen Li's golden snake demon collided. The Empress, who was multitasking, rushed to the blood-colored altar faster than lightning. Her target was very clear, and that was Yu Yang. No matter how many guardian warbeasts Yu Yang had, and no matter how powerful Yu Yang's guardian warbeasts were, he himself was a weakness. As long as Yu Yang was killed, no matter how many guardian warbeasts he had, they would all die together. The Empress had to kill Yu Yang first, even if she had to do everything she could. If Yu Yang died, then Ji Zun would lose her greatest support and was destined to lose. Kill! Yu Yang knew that this was the last moment of Ji Zun's recovery. If he was affected by the Empress, it would be a little difficult for him to kill the Empress and the 9 Brilliance King alone. He jumped up and faced the Empress. The Eternal Wheel and World Exterminating Wheel came out at the same time. The Empress caused the Eternal Wheel to stop moving as slowly as a turtle. However, just as Yu Yang was about to slash the World Exterminating Wheel towards the Heaven Queen, he suddenly felt an extremely dangerous telepathy. He didn't have the time to warn Ji Zun, so he directly reached out and carried her up. Together with Bing-yin, who was still healing her injuries, Yu Yang held the two women's soft waists in each hand and ran for their lives. Behind him, the Empress slowly revealed a severed head. The severed head was very different from a normal person's head. It had 3 eyes and black flames as its beard. Although it had been dead for a long time, it opened its mouth the moment it appeared. It looked like it was going to swallow the sky. Head of Luo Ho. The ancient demon king was shocked. The Empress actually had such a terrifying treasure. No wonder she dared to say such arrogant words. Chapter 749. Luo Ho's Head. It was the head of the demon Luo Ho. The supreme dragon god chopped off his head and took away his soul in order to intimidate and warn the rest of the world. Later on, the 9 Brilliance race preserved the Luo Ho's head under the pretext of collecting corpses. It was refined into a treasure. Even without a soul, the head still contained the power of Luo Ho and the energy of the past kings of the 9 Brilliance race for 100,000 years. It was not inferior to a divine weapon. In fact, it was even more destructive. The Empress raised the Luo Ho's head and activated it with her will. In an instant, a black head burning with devil flames appeared between heaven and earth. It had 3 eyes, 2 horns, and sharp fangs. When the head opened its mouth, its upper lip almost touched the sky while its lower lip touched the ground. The White River Valley could not contain its huge head. Scarlet Darch, ancient demon king, Yu Yang, and the sovereign could not escape from this black hole-like mouth. Once they were devoured, they would be sealed in the Luo Ho's head forever. The Scarlet Darch and ancient demon king's expressions changed. They could already hear the souls of the experts that were devoured by the Luo Ho's head. They were now trapped in the Luo Ho's head and whimpered, were they going to follow in the footsteps of those Heaven Realm experts and die in the Luo Ho's head? The Empress had a demon head that could devour heaven and earth. How could they fight against it? The Scarlet Darch and ancient demon king could not struggle free from the endless suction force of the demon head's mouth. The two escaped to the base of the blood-colored altar at the same time, trying to use the immortal base to escape the suction force. In the sky, the Empress' golden body slammed down and sent the two flying. She then waved her hand and swept the two into the demon head's mouth like swatting flies. Fairy of Death. Ancient Demon King was forced to use his ultimate move and prepared to use the Fairy of Death to escape. 9 Luminaries, Chain Explosion. The 9 Luminaries King was like a fish in water under the suction force of the Luoho's head. Not only was he not affected, the power of the past kings of the 9 Brilliance race also greatly boosted him. He was about to use the 9 Luminaries chain attack. The Fairy of Death was shattered by the 5 Luminaries explosion. The Ancient Demon King did not even have time to board the Fairy of Death and was struck down by the 9 Luminaries King's power. The Scarlet Darch was also in a sorry state. Although he had the Guardian Divine shield to protect his body, he suffered from the influence of Luoho's suction force, which greatly weakened his speed. The Scarlet Darch was unable to use his super speed to dodge the attack. The 9 Brilliance King's Lunar Blast almost blasted into Luoho's mouth. Under the suction force, the Scarlet Emperor felt like a fish swimming against the current. If he made a mistake, he would be doomed. Get lost. Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen Duo and IKA both used their Divine Beast will to resist the suction, so there was no danger for the time being. The Wu and Ancestor and Ancestoff, the 2 elders, attacked him. Dragon. The Golden Snake Demon that Xiao Wenli had transformed into clashed with the golden body statue of the Queen of Heaven several times. The rumbling battle shook the mountains. The mountain ridges of the White River Valley were like sand castles being battered by the tide, collapsing one after another. The hornless dragon Jiang Ying assisted Xiao Wenli from the side. However, she had not fully grasped the divine power left behind by the supreme dragon god. Regardless of attack or defense, she could not keep up with the rhythm and her movements were slightly slower. The golden body statue of heaven was very cunning. It kept making all kinds of attacks to confuse the opponent. Hornless dragon Jiang Ying was fuming with anger. She was the only one who was not affected by the head of Luoho. The head of Luoho was naturally afraid of the supreme dragon god's divine power. Whether it was the suction force or the demonic energy, it had no effect on hornless dragon Jiang Ying. Jiang Ying kept reaching out. Her divine power exploded as she tried to grab the golden body statue of heaven. In the sky in front of her, there seemed to be a giant dragon claw. A large part of the mountain collapsed in the shape of a dragon claw. However, the golden body statue of heaven dodged all of it. Even if Jiang Ying had unparalleled divine power, it was almost impossible for her to catch or hit the Heaven Realm Emperor-level expert, the golden body statue of heaven and the golden body statue of heaven. Once I kill you, no matter how many guardian beasts I have, it will be useless. The queen's goal was clear. That was to kill Yu Yang first. Dream on. Qilin girl Bing Yin broke free from Yu Yang's side. Instead of escaping, she advanced. She was so angry that she swung her fist. The queen had honed her combat skills for thousands of years. Naturally, she would not let Qilin girl Bing Yin hit her easily. When the small fist came, the queen waved the ribbon in her sleeve and skillfully wrapped it around her wrist. The queen's real body flashed and 2 similar illusions appeared, forming a triangle with the real body. There were also 3 ribbons connected, making it difficult to distinguish the real from the fake. The 3 real and fake bodies attacked. Qilin girl Bing Yin was furious. She hit the real body of the queen, completely ignoring the opponent's 2 identical fake bodies. To her, it was impossible for the world to hide the truth from her eyes and telepathy. Even Yu Yang, with his heaven eyes' divine vision, couldn't see it as clearly as she did. The queen's move may be very useful for others, but for the immortal Qilin who had the power to destroy evil, destroy demons, spiritual energy and auspicious physique, it was simply showing off in front of an expert. Bing Yin hit the queen with her head. On the surface, there was no power, but the queen's face immediately changed and became very frightened. The impact force of Bing Yin's small head which had the power to destroy evil and destroy demons, could not be stopped by the divine grimoire's golden shield. Of course, the queen's defensive energy could not resist it. Puff! The queen flew 100 meters away, and for the first time, she could not help but spit out blood. The most serious thing was that Hazy, who had been suppressed by the power of the small law, could not bear it any more and showed signs of breaking out. Bing-een, the Qilin girl, was even more merciless. She put her hands together and made a wonderful gesture of condensing immortal power. The colorful light emerged in her hands and gradually formed a round treasure light. Seeing that the queen was injured again, the two elders rushed over frantically, trying to stop Bing-yin's attack. Arrow of Hatred. Ika's angel's blade spread out like wings, and a small silver angel image above her head shot an arrow of hatred at the poison ancestor witch. At the same time, because of the activation of the talent of hatred, Ika fell into a state of rage. Her strength instantly broke out 10 times, and she was immune to all negative states. All kinds of curses that the poison ancestor which had cast on her were swept away, and even the suction of the head of Rahu lost its effect. Ika raised the muzzle and fired 10 shots at an extremely fast speed, directly turning the poison ancestral witch into a black man like Tomcat burning its whiskers. Then, he shouted like the goddess of war, roared like thunder and rushed to the high sky. With the angel's blade, he slashed down heavily, leaving a deep mark on the poison dragon crutch in the poison ancestral witch's hand. At the same time, the poison ancestor witch's mouth burst. Ika reached out and grabbed the poison ancestor witch's slender neck. First, she slammed him heavily on the ground, and then threw him high into the sky. At a high altitude, the raging Ika caught up with the poison ancestor witch. The cannon aimed at the poison ancestor witch's forehead and fired. The poison ancestor witch flew backward like a cannonball. He fell deep into the ground. On the other side, the evil Grand Sorcerer was also unable to save the Sky Empress. Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen Duo bit her index finger and drew a runic circle on her palm. She then summoned a thorny flower seed from her grimoire and used her blood to stimulate the growth of the seed. Then, she shot this terrifying thorny flower seed onto the evil Grand Sorcerer's body, using his body as a parasitic fertilizer. Evil flame, demonic chi, and other means could not stop the thorny flower seed. The evil ancestor which could only forcefully dig out a large piece of flesh from his body, directly digging a bloody hole where the thorny flower seed had drilled into. The battle between guardian warbeasts is meaningless. Although the evil ancestor witch's face was twitching in pain, his mouth was still very tough. He and the poison ancestor which had very few opponents in the heaven realm, but they were both unlucky to meet the Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen. This was because the Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen had a special characteristic that was similar to the Qilin girl. That was the Holy Spirit body, which was naturally immune to any curses and poisons. The evil flame and demonic chi could still play a little role against the evil ancestor Duo. If it was the poison ancestor witch who was best at using poison and curses, it would be even more tragic. Old Ghost, turn into flower fertilizer. Duo summoned a flower vine from the grimoire and lashed it at the evil ancestor witch like a whip. When the evil ancestor witch saw it, he was afraid like a tiger and hurriedly dodged. Without the support of the two elders, the Heaven Empress, who was hit by the Qilin girl Bing-yin's treasure light, was even more seriously injured. No matter how the Heaven Empress tried to dodge that ball of treasure light, it was completely useless. It ignored spatial distance, talent, force field, and willpower. It hit directly. The hornless dragon Jiang-ying, who had not had a chance to hit the Heaven Empress, finally found the chance. She appeared in front of the Heaven Empress in a flash and stretched out her palm from the void. Her divine power locked onto the Heaven Empress and slowly advanced. The Heaven Empress, who was trapped in the treasure light and was using her divine power to suppress Blackie, was unable to break free. She could only watch as Jiang Ying used her divine power to grab her throat. Decapitation, judgment platform. A strange light shot out from the top of the hornless dragon's head. 2 golden dragons flashed in the sky and turned into 2 dragon guards holding blades. One of the dragon guards used his claws to extract the Heaven Empress soul, the other dragon guard brandished his blade and slashed. Although this kind of decapitation could not be seen with the naked eye, the damage was more serious than a decapitation that could be seen with the naked eye. Ah! The Sky Empress, whose soul had been extracted and severed, recovered in an instant. She sent Jiang Ying flying and pressed her hand to her forehead in pain. She shrieked crazily as if she had suffered all the suffering in the world. She let out a hair-raising wail. Blackie explode. Ji Zun, who had recovered more than half with the help of Ice Song, stood up. If the Heaven Empress soul had not been extracted by Jiang Ying's divine power and could not be suppressed by the power of a small law, Ji Zun would have had to wait for a while to explode the Blackie. However, the Heaven Empress, who was hit by Ice Song's head, hit by the treasure light and beheaded by Jiang Ying with her divine power, could no longer suppress the 2 Blackie in her head. In fact, the longer the 2 Blackie stayed in her head, the stronger the explosion would be. Because she knew how terrifying the Blackie was, the Heaven Empress used her strongest power of a small law to suppress it. Ji Zun summoned her diamond grimoire, which was very close to a holy grimoire. Her jade-like hands casually flipped through a page, then she clenched her fists and lightly clenched them. The Heaven Empress' ears immediately exploded. The Blackie completely exploded. There was no longer any power that could stop it. Chapter 750. The black pieces exploded. Not only was the Heaven Empress' head injured, her entire body was showing signs of destruction. "Do you think you can kill me like this?" The Heaven Empress screamed with resentment. "Even without my body, I'm still the Heaven Empress of the 9 Brilliance race. It's a piece of cake for me to kill you all. You forced me to use my last bit of power." She wasn't willing to use such a power that would harm both sides, and she was even more unwilling to lose her human body. However, she had no other choice. She had to make a decision before the black pieces destroyed her body. The enemy in front of her was like a tiger watching its prey. If the Heaven Empress didn't use her last bit of power, not only would she be defeated, she would also lose her life. Rumble. The Heaven Empress body instantly exploded into pieces. When the power of the explosion reached its limit, the 2 black pieces turned into 2 spinning black holes that devoured the fragments and energy of the Heaven Empress body. If it was someone else, they definitely wouldn't be able to survive. However, the Heaven Empress, who had the innate talent of soul attachment, managed to escape from her exploded body with 90% of the energy and fused into the Heaven Empress golden statue in the sky. Light. This was the moment Sovereign had been waiting for. The instant the Heaven Empress soul fused with the golden statue, Sovereign appeared in the sky and stretched his arms. The light of destruction shone down like the sun. Thousands of light rain, light arrows, light blades, light spears, light fangs and light swords turned the heaven and earth into one color. That was the light of destruction. 4 Cs, the experts of the 9 Brilliance race, the Night Empress, Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, and the others who were fighting a few hundred kilometers away also felt a strong light shrouding the sky. It was like the sun in the sky, and they couldn't raise their heads to look at it. Elder 4 Cs, who had been suppressing the Night Empress, had a drastic change of expression when he saw the terrifying light of destruction. "There's such a powerful expert in the heaven-reaching tower? I can't believe that I, 4 Cs, am still a shallow person who looks at the sky from a well." 4 Cs murmured to himself. At this moment, he couldn't maintain his supreme will of the sovereign realm any longer. The Scarlet Darch, Ancient Demon King, and 9 Brilliance King felt like monkeys being roasted in a bonfire. They were in extreme pain under the light of destruction, but they couldn't avoid it. The entire world was filled with the destructive light. The solar star in the Nine Brilliance King's hand was like a pitiful lamp compared to the radiance of the sun. The Scarlet Emperor, who had an extremely strong defense divine equipment, guardian divine shield, also cried out in pain. The guardian divine shield was unable to defend against the light, causing his body to sizzle with smoke. For the first time in his life, he had the terrifying feeling of being directly penetrated and destroyed by light. Unlike the Scarlet Emperor, the ancient demon king did not run to the blood-colored sacrificial altar to hide. On the contrary, he didn't. He rushed toward the Nine Brilliance King and hugged him tightly, preventing him from dodging. Then, he tried his best to bring the Nine Brilliance King into the sky. "You're insane." The Nine Brilliance King was terrified when he sensed the ancient demon king was going to perish together with him. "Dong Yao, let's die together." The ancient Devil King hated the Heaven Empress and the Nine Brilliance King who had betrayed the alliance. If the Heaven Empress had not given the order and killed Yi Shao, Zi Guang, and Bei right in front of him, he would have parted ways peacefully. Everyone would have gone their separate ways in the face of disaster. Now, the ancient Devil King only wanted to capture the Nine Brilliance King and perish together with him. The Nine Brilliance King could not hide under the base of the blood-colored sacrificial altar to reduce the light of destruction from the sky like the Scarlet Emperor did. Instead, the ancient Devil King grabbed him and brought him into the sky. The Nine Brilliance King howled in pain after being hit by the light of destruction. The enormous black demon head that could devour everything surged out from the head of Rahu gradually lost its strength. In the end, it was destroyed by the light of destruction and turned into nothingness. Luckily, the light soon passed. Otherwise, it would have been really dangerous. The Nine Brilliance King broke free from the ancient Devil King's pincers and ran to the blood-colored sacrificial altar on the ground. Until now, he still could not see anything. He could only rely on his senses and hearing to judge things. "IKA, summon the little angel to blow the horn." Yu Yang, who had finished regulating his breathing, gave a command that confused the others. "Blow the horn? Da-da-da!" A loud and beautiful horn sound echoed in the ruined valley of the White River Valley. Shit! The horn sound did not have any offensive power, but the Nine Brilliance King could sense that all the enemies were getting stronger. He knew the horn sound was the most terrifying buff. When he was about to rush over and kill the little angel that was blowing the horn, another wave of light of destruction descended from the sky. This wave was much stronger and lasted longer than the previous one. The ancient Devil King was like a madman. He grabbed the Nine Brilliance King with his huge hand and laughed sinisterly. "Dong Brilliance, enjoy your journey of death. Yi Shao, Zi Guang, and the others are waiting for us ahead." The Nine Brilliance King did not struggle. As a matter of fact, he could not escape either. An eternal wheel was extending from under Yu Yang's feet in front of him. Yu Yang only put away the eternal wheel when the Nine Brilliance King collapsed on the blood-colored sacrificial altar after the Supremacy had released the third wave of light of destruction. When the Nine Brilliance King regained his sight after an unknown period of time, he discovered that the golden statue of the Empress of Heaven in the sky was already broken beyond recognition. The lower half of its body was completely destroyed, and the upper half was also damaged. Its left arm was missing 2 fingers, and its head and shoulders were mottled and broken. Only the right hand holding the head of Luoho was perfectly fine. The Empress of Heaven was still alive. Even though the Supremacy had released the light of destruction when her soul was at its weakest, and with the support of Yu Yang's Xiantian True Qi, the immortal Qilin's ice song, and the little angel's horn, the Empress of Heaven was still alive, an existence of the Heaven Realm's Emperor rank. As expected, it was not easy to kill her. Even Yu Yang and the Supremacy thought that the Empress would die, or at least be on the brink of death. They did not expect that she could still fight with the head of Luoho. "Little girl, have you used up all your trump cards?" The Empress' extremely resentful voice reverberated through the sky of the White River Valley, "But I'm not dead yet. So, you will be the ones to die." The head of Luoho, which had been driven away by the light of destruction, was now emitting countless rays of black light. Its power and attribute might not be able to contend against the powerful light of destruction. But the head of Luoho carried the power of the demon Luoho and the power of countless kings of the Nine Brilliance clan over the past 100,000 years. Not to mention 3 waves of light of destruction, even the combined power of the 3 great leaders of the Western Heaven Realm would not be able to destroy it. The head of Luoho had long become a demonic weapon that was comparable to a divine weapon. However, it did not have its own consciousness and could only be controlled by its master. As long as the Empress was not dead, the use of the head of Luoho would never weaken. Unless the supremacy could continuously release the light of destruction, nothing would be able to contend against the black demon heads that surged out from the head of Luoho. Jiang Ying's divine power was not 100% fused. The possibility of using divine power to forcefully destroy the head of Luoho was close to 0. The Ice Song Qilin hated this kind of evil demonic weapon. She wanted to destroy it, but she did not have enough power. She was not an immortal beast that was good at this. "You guys leave." Yu Yang initially wanted to kill the heavily injured ancient demon king and the battered Scarlet Emperor. However, he changed his mind. If he didn't kill the Heaven Empress and the Nine Brilliance King, the Nine Brilliance King and the Heaven Empress would only benefit the Ancient Demon King and the Scarlet Emperor. Letting these 2 guys go would be a disaster, but it was better than letting the Empress and Nine Brilliance King go. If the Empress and Nine Brilliance King escaped, it would definitely be a disaster for the Tong Tian Tower. Yu Yang hated that now was not the time. He could only let the Ancient Demon King and Scarlet Emperor go for now. "Don't let me see you guys again. I will never return to the Tong Tian Tower again." The Scarlet Emperor was overjoyed. He thought that Yu Yang would take the opportunity to hit him when he was down. He was prepared to fight with his life on the line. "Is this fate?" the Ancient Demon King muttered to himself and sighed. He did not leave the blood-colored altar like the Scarlet Emperor. Instead, he charged towards the Nine Brilliance King. The Nine Brilliance King glanced at the Empress and suddenly jumped up from the blood-colored altar. He chased after the Scarlet Emperor. "Granny Empress, let Dong Yao kill the Scarlet Emperor." He did not want to stay here any longer. He used the Scarlet Emperor as an excuse to leave the blood-colored altar where his life might be in danger. Ji Zun, Yu Yang, the little snake monster, the immortal Qilin, the hornless dragon, and even the battle angel and the golden crown thorny flower queen were not to be trifled with. The Ancient Demon King chased after the Nine Brilliance King crazily and attacked without holding back, trying to stop the Nine Brilliance King. The Nine Brilliance King did not put up any resistance. He took the attacks head-on and chased after the Scarlet Emperor for tens of thousands of meters. The Ancient Demon King followed closely behind him. He swore to kill the Nine Brilliance King. The golden body of the Empress did not stop the Nine Brilliance King. Instead, she snorted coldly, "That's good too. I can let loose now." She looked down at the people on the ground from the sky. "You can say your last words now." Yu Yang acted as if he did not hear her. He ordered the Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen Duo and Ika, "Go after the Nine Brilliance King, Dong Yao. We must not let him leave alive." Qilin Bing-yin glanced at the 2 elders who had just climbed up from the ground. She noticed that the 2 elders did not chase after Duo and Ika, but stayed to protect the golden body statue of the Empress. She could not help but frown. The Nine Brilliance King is very strong. The Scarlet Emperor is trying to escape, and the Ancient Demon King is seriously injured and unable to use his full strength. It is not possible for Duo and Ik to kill the Nine Brilliance King. Jiang Ying and I will go and take a look. You have to be careful, this old woman has really gone mad. It's okay, I can do it. Yu Yang reached out to grab Jizun's hand. He transferred some innate qi into her to recover her overdrawn energy. At the same time, he gently caressed the head of little Wenli, who had turned back into a Lolita Lamia. Little Wenli stayed by Yu Yang's side silently. Her face was as pale as a sheet due to overdrawn energy. There was even a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. She was the main combat power other than Jizun and had been fighting against the golden body statue of the Empress. Now that she was so exhausted that she almost collapsed on the ground, Yu Yang felt very guilty. If he was a little stronger, his little darling would not have to fight so desperately. Let me see what you have to prove that you can do it. The golden body statue of the Empress activated the demonic energy stored in the head of Luo Ho in her hand. Between heaven and earth, another indomitable black demonic head appeared. It opened its mouth and swallowed the heaven and earth. Actually, I want to tell you, don't force me to go crazy. Otherwise, even I will be afraid when I go berserk. Yu Yang slowly closed his eyes and the aura on his body exploded thousands of times. When he slowly opened his eyes again, a kind of power that could destroy heaven and earth turned into a flow of energy and shot up to the sky. It felt like it was going to pierce through the 9 heavens and the earth. Anything that stood in its way would be destroyed. The Empress saw that Yu Yang's eyes had turned into a completely irrational blood red. A fear of death that she had not felt for almost 10,000 years, a fear of death that she had not felt for almost 10,000 years since Queen Vivian Li emerged from the bottom of her heart. What kind of power is this? The Empress could not understand at all. Why would this brat become infinitely stronger when he lost his rationality and got angry? Why would the calm him lose his rationality and get angry all of a sudden? Could it be that she had released him from the threat of death? Not waiting for her to understand, Yu Yang had already made his move. He stretched out his hand and it was even more terrifying than Jiang Ying's divine dragon claw. He directly sucked the golden body statue of the Empress and the head of Luo Ho down from the sky. His fists rained down on the golden body statue of the Empress while his feet trampled on the head of Luo Ho, 100,000 years old demonic weapon. Under Yu Yang's heavy blows, the head of Luo Ho, which could not be harmed by any power, gradually turned into powder and the entire demonic head turned into a skeleton. The golden body statue of the Empress, which could not be harmed by any power, was also broken into pieces by Yu Yang. Countless golden fragments flew into the sky. The Empress, who was in danger of death, used her power of the ancient code. Give me your body. Such a good thing should be mine. The Empress' power of the ancient code could deprive all living beings of their bodies and expel the enemy's strength, energy, consciousness and soul. Originally, she had chosen Jizun as her target. However, now that she saw Yu Yang in a berserk state, he was even more powerful. Furthermore, Yu Yang in a berserk state had lost his rationality. This meant that his soul had no defenses at all. It was the best time for her to use the law of sending souls. Lastly, Jizun's willpower was much stronger than Yu Yang's. If Jizun also knew the power of the ancient code, once the ancient code failed, she would be in danger. Unparalleled, undefeatable. Jizun indeed knew the power of the ancient code. When the 2 elders rushed over to help, she stretched out her hand and pointed, sending them flying 10,000 meters away. At the same time, her right hand brushed the grimoire and flipped a page. The golden body statue of the Empress, which was originally broken and barely maintained its original form, was instantly destroyed by Jizun's power of the ancient code. Jizun's power of the ancient code, as long as it was in existence weaker than the owner, once it was locked on, it would be completely obliterated. The Empress was scared out of her wit. She sped up and rushed towards Yu Yang, preparing to seize Yu Yang's body with all her might and borrow Yu Yang's body to undergo soul rebirth. The Luo Ho head, which was being trampled by Yu Yang, also spewed out endless black demonic energy, forming a gigantic Luo Ho statue without a head. Together with the other Luo Ho head, they attacked Yu Yang at the same time, allowing the Empress to take advantage of the situation. Yu Yang completely released his anger. Usually, he was extremely calm and did not get angry easily, but once he gave up on his calmness and turned into a berserk state, the result would be extremely terrifying. In a situation where he lost his rationality, the power of the ancient code that was enlightened by the cards of fate appeared on Yu Yang's body. A golden giant of unknown height rose up. The original Luo Ho body and the Luo Ho head that could swallow the heaven and earth were now not even as tall as the golden giant's knees. Ji Zun and Little One Li received a boost in an instant. A golden giant appeared behind their backs. Their exhaustion was instantly restored to its original state. The golden giant instinctively lifted its leg. The Luo Ho body and the Luo Ho head formed by demonic energy shattered under the golden giant's foot, turning into nothingness. Even the Luo Ho skull on the blood-colored altar, an existence that had not been damaged for 100,000 years, was crushed by the golden giant's foot. The 4 Seas and the 9 Brilliance clan, who were a few hundred kilometers away, could not raise their heads to look at the sky, but they could feel a golden giant standing between heaven and earth. The 9 Brilliance king, who was 50 kilometers away, was being surrounded and attacked by the Scarlet Tharch and the ancient Devil King. Originally, he still had the strength to hold on. But when the golden giant appeared, he immediately froze, feeling as if 100,000 mountains were pressing down on his back. Duo and Ika, who were chasing after him, instantly received a huge boost. Ika's angel blade slashed out a 10,000-meter-long blade, sending the 9 Brilliance king flying towards Duo. The golden giant behind Duo stretched out its hand and slapped the 9 Brilliance king into the ground as if it was swatting a fly. At this moment, no one could raise their heads to look at the golden giant that was truly indomitable. They could only lower their eyes to look at its toes. This was the uncontrollable power of the ancient code in Yu Yang's body, originating from the cards of fate. Chapter 751. After an unknown period of time, the golden giant in the sky had finally disappeared. The Scarlet Emperor and Ancient Demon King, who were suppressed to the point of not being able to raise their heads, had finally recovered. The Scarlet Emperor couldn't help but shiver. He subconsciously muttered to himself, "This is too scary. I will never return to the Tower of Babel." Then, like a prisoner who had just been released from prison, he took out a white teleportation crystal with his trembling right hand and crushed it. A silver teleportation gate rose and he quickly left. Before leaving, he looked back at the sky where the golden giant had disappeared. His eyes were filled with awe. The ancient demon king didn't leave. When he saw the 9 Brilliance king being surrounded by Duo and Ika, who had been strengthened, and hornless dragon Jiang Ying and Qilin girl Bing Yin were chasing after him, his eyes flashed with hatred and resentment. "You killed my subordinate. I will also annihilate your entire 9 Brilliance clan." Filled with anger and hatred, the ancient demon king didn't join the besiegement of the 9 Brilliance king. Instead, he rushed to the entrance of White River Valley, ready to annihilate the entire 9 Brilliance clan there. He knew that the 9 Brilliance king had no chance of survival against the 4 women, especially the Qilin girl from the Eastern Immortal tribe. Judging from the situation just now, the Heaven Empress would definitely die the moment the golden giant appeared. Now that the 9 Brilliance king was doomed, the only ones left were 4 Seas, Eugene, Li Pan and the other clansmen of the 9 Brilliance clan. If the Heaven Empress hadn't killed Yi Shao, Zi Guang and North in front of the Ancient Demon King, the Ancient Demon King wouldn't have taken such revenge. When the most loyal Yi Shao was forced to self-destruct in front of the Heaven Empress. When Zi Guang, who possessed the most innate talent, was forcefully killed in front of him, the ancient Devil King could not forget this hatred. Even if he continued to stay in the White River Valley, It was extremely likely that he would anger Yu Yang and Ji Zun. In the end, even he himself would not be able to survive. However, the ancient Devil King would rather be killed by Yu Yang than see his enemy successfully escape. Clan annihilation. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. This was the only thought in the ancient Demon King's mind. The blood-colored altar had already cracked, and the mark of the golden giant's big toe could be seen clearly. The indestructible blood-colored altar had been broken into pieces by the golden giant's stomp. Fortunately, the statue and the pedestal were still intact. Yu Yang was lying on the blood-colored altar. Just now, it wasn't his consciousness that was controlling it. It was a completely unconscious state. It was a type of energy eruption in anger. Yu Yang, who had gone on a rampage to his heart's content and trampled on his enemies, was now automatically adjusting his body to sleep. Ji Zun tried her best not to look at this naked little guy, whose clothes had turned into powder at some point in time. She took out a cloak from her storage ring and covered him with it. Ji Zun thought that the battle was already over. Who would have thought that the evil ancestral shaman and the poison ancestral shaman would turn into black smoke and emerge from the shattered remains of Luho's head? They didn't die, which proved that the Empress wasn't dead. Could it be that even the Golden Giant's supreme nomological power couldn't kill the Empress? Ji Zun was really stunned. No matter how strong the Empress was, how could she fight against the Golden Giant's nomological power? With Ji Zun's wisdom, she immediately reacted. The Empress must have borrowed some kind of treasure, a treasure that was not inferior to Luho's head. Even if the poison ancestral shaman and the evil ancestral shaman were hiding in Luho's head, the Empress must have sent her soul elsewhere. The ancestral shaman and the evil ancestral shaman, who were seriously injured and on the verge of death, endured the pain and tore open their chests with their sharp claws. Blood sprayed out and they worked together to draw a strange runic circle on the ground. Slash! Ji Zun's eyes were slightly cold. She was worried that the Empress would attack the sleeping Yu Yang somewhere and stood by his side to protect him. Her right hand raised the humanoid divine weapon transformed by the blood-winged angel and slashed heavily at the ancestral shaman and the witch ancestral shaman in front of her. As the golden giant recovered, Ji Zun's sword chi soared into the sky, carrying the supreme will and the power of destruction. In an instant, the sword chi slashed heaven and earth in half. Although the ancestral shaman and the witch ancestral shaman were powerful, they were now on the verge of death. In the face of Ji Zun's unparalleled heavy slash, they couldn't withstand it at all. The two of them raised their staffs and resisted slightly before they spat out blood and fell to the ground. Where was the Empress? The ancestral shaman and the witch ancestral shaman asked her to kill them on the spot, so why didn't she show up? Ji Zun searched the entire White River Valley ruins with her mind, ready to find the cunning Empress who was struggling at death's door. After searching 3 times, apart from the skull fragments of Luho's head, there was still a small amount of magical energy left. There was no other abnormality in the entire White River Valley. Besides herself, Yu Yang and Little One Li, there was no fourth life around the bloody altar. The ancestral shaman and the witch ancestral shaman had just been killed, so the Empress was definitely not dead. Where was she hiding? Did she take the opportunity to escape? No. It was impossible for the Empress to escape just like that. She, who was hit by the golden giant in the soul, must be seriously injured and dying. She would definitely fight like a cornered beast and bite back at the end. Ji Zun's mind raced. She could guess the answer, but she couldn't find the Empress to confirm her speculation. Suddenly, Ji Zun's body shook slightly. She looked up at the sky. She discovered that there was a white dot high up in the sky. It was like a lonely twinkling star. There was nothing special on the surface, but Ji Zun's face changed when she saw it. In just a few seconds, this seemingly ordinary star became much bigger. In a few seconds, it changed from an inconspicuous little star to a bright big star. In a few seconds, it became an extremely obvious giant star even in the bright summer sky. What did this mean? Ji-zoon understood very well that there was a star falling at a high speed, and its volume was very large. If this star were to fall, not only the White River Valley, but the entire fifth floor of the heaven stairway and even the entire space of the heaven stairway would be destroyed. Such a huge meteor, at the very least, its diameter was larger than the length of the White River Valley. She couldn't cut it with her sword chi alone. Should she take Yu Yang and immediately rush behind Night Empress and the others to escape the heaven stairway together, or should she stay and try her best to change this disaster? You're the ones who forced me to do this. You must all die. Die with me. Even if the 9 Glory Clan is destroyed, I will not let you live. If I can't live, you can't live either. The treasures of the gods' ruins, if I can't get them, you can't inherit them either. I hate you, die, all of you shall perish under the fall of the Kidu comet. A vicious resentment emerged in Ji-zoon's mind. Ji-zoon turned around. She found that in the sky, a monster's body had fallen down. It was headless, there was no head above the neck, a black body covered in ugly scales, and a 4-armed snake tail. Ji-zoon understood at a glance. It turned out that the Empress had used Luo Ho's body. She used Luo Ho's head to attract the pressure of the Golden Giant, while she attached her soul to Luo Ho's body in an attempt to escape. However, in the end, not only Luo Ho's head, but Luo Ho's body was also destroyed by the Golden Giant. When Luo Ho's body fell on the blood-colored altar, it gradually disintegrated. It was impossible for it to exist in the world after being directly suppressed by the Golden Giant's power of laws. The Empress' soul slipped out of the forcibly disintegrating and constantly destroying Luo Ho's body. She looked at Ji-zoon, who was about to release the light of destruction. Her expression was so sinister and terrifying. If I die, you guys won't be able to live either. Do you know why I attached my soul to Ancestor Luo Ho's body? Do you know why I wanted to go to the sky to receive the biggest blow? Because this is a sacrifice. I sacrificed Ancestor Luo Ho's body, using the last of my strength to summon the Kidu comet to destroy the world. No matter who it is, they cannot be stronger than me, otherwise they will have to die. I watched Fei Wenli, that arrogant snake demon, grow up. When she first stepped into the heaven realm, she was only heaven-ranked level 1. Later on, she slowly rose. Why should I crawl under her feet? I also watched Prison Emperor, that fool, grow up. Why should he reject the proposal of a marriage alliance with my 9 Light Clan to share the gods' ruins? And you guys, you can't even step into the heaven realm. Why should you be disrespectful to me, the Emperor of the heaven realm? No one has ever made me suffer. If you want to kill me, you have to exchange your lives for it. When Ji-zoon heard this, she stopped releasing the light of destruction. She looked at the Heaven Empress coldly and asked in a cold tone, "Are you done?" The summoning grimoire appeared. Ji-zoon reached out her hand, preparing to flip the pages. Before using Ji-zoon's law to destroy the Heaven Empress soul, she did not raise her head. Instead, she said in a low voice, "This kind of trash should have been cleaned up long ago. Now, I kind of understand why the ancestors let the successor of Tong Tian Tower clean up regularly. Yu Yang is not awake yet, let me clean him up." The Heaven Empress soul rushed towards Ji-zoon. At this moment, she was still trying to use the law of soul attachment to take over Ji-zoon's body. Obliterate. Ji-zoon's jade-like hands gently flipped a page in her grimoire. Her movements were indescribably beautiful. Then, her hand gently held the Heaven Empress soul that was shrinking rapidly in her palm. Just like crushing an egg, she used Ji-zoon's law to crush the law of soul attachment. Then, the Heaven Empress soul that was exposed inside was instantly destroyed. The Heaven Empress soul could not even let out a sorrowful cry before it turned into nothingness. She was obliterated by Ji-zoon forever. The corpses of the Grand Wizard and Grand Wizard elders on the ground also exploded at the same time, turning into black smoke and dissipating. A summoning grimoire that had only reached the level of a holy grimoire exploded in the void. Countless energy was released and returned to heaven and earth. A part of the energy essence, under the guidance of Ji Zun's will, merged with Ji Zun's diamond grimoire. In the end, the two grimoires merged and emitted endless divine light at the same time. The Heaven Empress Holy Grimoire disappeared and was replaced by Ji Zun's summoning grimoire. It merged successfully and evolved into the unparalleled Holy Grimoire. Thousands of light rays surrounded Ji Zun. Because of the sudden qualitative change in her ability and level, a golden pillar of light shot towards the sky. Ji Zun obtained the reward of her hard work for a long time, but she did not smile. In the sky, the star explosion that was formed by the Heaven Empress' final power and Luo Ho's body had already expanded to the size of the moon. It was extremely bright and illuminated the earth with a silver light. The giant star explosion was about to destroy the fifth level of the Heaven Stairway. Although Ji Zun had leveled up, she still did not have the ability to stop the star explosion from falling. Because it was really too big. Could it be that she had to wake up Yu Yang and continue to use the Golden Giant's ancient code power? Ji Zun turned around and looked at Yu Yang, who had leveled up to innate level 10 from his deep sleep. Even if she woke him up now, would he be able to use the Golden Giant's ancient code power again? If she did that, it might cause him invisible harm. Thinking of this, Ji Zun gave up the idea of letting Yu Yang go berserk again and forcefully resist the star explosion. Forget it, as long as I can save him. Ji Zun was preparing to carry Yu Yang and meet up with the Night Empress to evacuate the Heaven Stairway. But before she could touch Yu Yang's body, she heard a cry that made one's soul tremble. That kind of heavenly cry was incomparable to any other life in the world. Even she, who had Ji Zun's will, could not resist it. The Nirvana flame pillar soared into the sky. It was 100 times higher than the Nirvana flame pillar that Yu Yang usually erupted. It went straight into the sky. Countless fire phoenixes formed by the Nirvana flame danced around the pillar. Ji Zun found that in the extremely high sky, there seemed to be a pair of beautiful life spreading its wings and flying out. Between the clear cry and the wonderful dance, it opened up a black hole-like space crack in the sky. The star explosion that was about to fall and destroy the entire fifth level of the Heaven Stairway gradually disappeared under the absorption of the black hole. That scene was so spectacular that even Ji Zun couldn't help but feel excited. She sighed deeply for this kind of earth-shattering power that appeared so easily. When would she be able to reach such a realm? No! Ji Zun suddenly discovered that before the star explosion was swallowed by the black hole, Ji Zun found that its surface was covered with sword marks. In other words, it had been cut by someone with a sword, broken into pieces, and thrown into the black hole. In the entire White River Valley, only Ji Zun, who had the God's Eye inherent skill, could see this kind of phenomenon. She was completely shocked by the scene in front of her. Previously, the giant star explosion that made her helpless, the star explosion that was enough to destroy the entire fifth level of the Heaven Stairway, was actually silently cut into pieces by a sword? What kind of power was this? Perhaps only the legendary god could do this, right? Ji Zun stared dumbfoundedly at the giant star explosion that brought destruction, disappearing bit by bit into the black hole. Except for her, no one else knew that even if there was no black hole to swallow it, this star explosion that could destroy everything would only turn into meteor fragments falling from the sky. Its power would probably only allow the people on the ground to watch a meteor shower. It would not even be enough to fall to the ground. It would all burn and be exhausted. The Nirvana flame pillar quickly disappeared and returned to Yu Yang's body. As if it had never appeared before. Ji Zun couldn't recover for a long time. She looked at Yu Yang, trying to see something from his face, but he who was in deep sleep had no answer. After a long time, Ji Zun's lips revealed a smile. Maybe even you don't know what kind of protection you have. I originally thought it was a holy spirit like the Qilin girl, but who would have thought that it was far beyond my imagination? I have to say, you are a lucky little guy. Night Empress is right, you are really the destined successor of Tong Tian Tower. Is the glory of the ancestors going to reappear? I am really looking forward to it. Far away at the entrance of White River Valley, Night Empress also retracted her gaze from the sky. It turned out that the giant comet had fallen, and its destruction was imminent. Everyone stopped fighting. In the blink of an eye, a black hole appeared and swallowed the giant comet. The situation of the battle changed so quickly that everyone experienced the twists of joy and sorrow in a short period of time. She, who was surrounded by starlight and born from the top of the Milky Way's head, asked the ashen-faced Elder Four Seas softly in a heavenly voice, "Do you still want to fight? Elder Four Seas, before your 9 Glory clan breaks the taboo, please forgive this junior for using the power of the ancient code. The next attack will decide the outcome of the battle. I have lost, I can commit suicide to atone for my sins, but can you leave some seedlings for our clan? Can you let Eugene take his people and leave?" Elder Four Seas slowly knelt down. He already knew that the reason why Night Empress was always at a disadvantage was not because he was stronger than her, but because she wanted to use the battle with him to improve herself. When the battle came to an end, this duel would not continue any longer. Without the support of confidence and willpower, he knew that he would not be able to escape. He, who was flexible, only hoped that Night Empress would agree to let the 9 Glory clan live, so that the entire clan would not be annihilated. However, his wish was destined to fail, because a furious expert broke through the air. It was the ancient Demon King. The ancient Demon King, who was filled with hatred and anger, roared like thunder, "Four Seas, Eugene, Li Pan, hand over your lives. The Empress killed my subordinates. If I don't exterminate your entire clan, I swear I am not a demon." Chapter 752. Due to the arrival of the ancient Demon King, not only the 9 Brilliance clan was nervous, but even Xue Wuxia, Princess Sisai and the others were on guard. Raging Flame, who was fighting with Li Pan, was recalled by Xue Wuxia. Red and Ah Man also gave up on their opponents and returned to Xue Wuxia's side. Spirit of Heaven Fire and Reaper Mantis were originally helping Princess Sisai chase after the heavily injured Undertaker Eugene, but when the ancient Demon King arrived, they immediately protected Princess Sisai and returned to the main formation. Only Anan and Yubing persisted in knocking down a 9 Brilliance clan member who was on the verge of death due to poison. Grey Wolf did not retreat either. He roared at the sky and intensified his attack. Star Sky Scorpion and Tao Tai were his greatest support. Under their restraint, Grey Wolf and the others had already successfully killed their third enemy, and now it was the fourth. Die! The 2 9 Brilliance clan experts, who were severely injured by Red and Ah Man, did not even have the time to escape back to the main formation. The ancient Demon King was like a god of death descending. The ancient Demon King, who had fought with Yu Yang to the point of mutual destruction and was unable to save his subordinates, Yi Shao, Zi Guang, Bei and the others, was an invincible existence in front of the 9 Glory clan even if he was heavily injured. Before Four Seas, Li Pan, and Eugene could rescue him, he landed behind a 9 Brilliance clan member and pressed his huge hand towards the opponent's face the moment the opponent turned around in shock. With a death roar, the unlucky guy who was beaten black and blue by Red could not resist a single move and was instantly killed by the ancient Demon King. Four Seas was the fastest and rushed over. The ancient Demon King ignored Four Seas' interception. With a finger of his right hand, he pierced through the 9 Brilliance clan expert who was injured by Ah Man. That guy still did not die. After escaping for 10 meters, the ancient Demon King caught up to him at the cost of a heavy punch from Four Seas and threw him into the Bone Crusher Mill. Unlike Yu Yang, That fellow was directly grinded into blood and bones after being thrown into the bone crusher mill. There was absolutely no chance of survival. Go! 4Cs had lost his composure. The Heaven Empress aura had disappeared. She must have been killed by Yu Yang and Ji Zun. The 9 Brilliance King's aura was still there, but it was weakening rapidly. He would probably follow the Heaven Empress footsteps soon. Regardless of whether it was the dazzling light of destruction, the golden giant that suppressed all things, or the comet that destroyed the earth, all sorts of anomalies appeared, proving the tragic situation of the battle. Especially the failure of the star explosion, it directly showed that the Heaven Empress plan to perish together with her opponent had failed, and her ultimate move had been countered by her opponent. Although it was unknown whether it was Yu Yang or Ji Zun who had countered it, it was still bad news for the 9 glory rays. "I'm not leaving," Li Pan refused. He would rather die in battle than cower in the face of danger. 4C's marshals leave. "We'll cover you." The Undertaker Eugene was 100 times more rational than Li Pan. Leaving aside the question of whether or not he could escape, he knew that even if he did, the 9 glory race would inevitably decline. He didn't have the ability to save and revitalize his race. The 4C's marshals were different. His strength was only below the 9 Brilliance King and the Heaven Empress. If he could return, the 9 glory race would still have hope. "None of you can leave. The 5th floor of the Heaven Stairway will be the burial ground of the entire 9 glory race." The ancient demon king did not care about 4C's attacks at all. When Li Pan and Eugene attacked him, he summoned the myriad elephant tomb. It was as if tens of thousands of mammoths were trampling across the sky. All the clansmen of the 9 glory race felt as if they were being crushed by a mountain. The moment the myriad elephant tomb appeared, the ancient demon king summoned his guardian beast torch. The two merged into one, turning the entire White River Valley entrance into the torch hell. Countless torch stone giants emerged from the magma and surrounded the 9 glory rays. When he fought against Yu Yang previously, the ancient demon king did not use the descent of 1mo because of Yu Yang's agility. However, he did not hold back when facing the 9 glory rays. Moreover, he very rationally controlled all the torch stone giants in the blazing prison to surround and attack the 9 Light Clan. Instead of attacking Shui Wuxiao and Princess Qian Qian, he carefully avoided them. The reason why he made such an attack was not simply because he was afraid of Yu Yang. It was mainly because with Shui Wuxiao's divine sense domain, the 9 Light Clan couldn't fight with all their strength. With Princess Qian Qian's Prison Emperor Divine Sword, the 9 Light Clan were in danger of being killed at any time. The ancient demon king tried to put the 9 glory race in the most dangerous situation. He did not care if he was also exposed to the attack. The moment the descent of 1mo appeared, 4Cs, Eugene, and Li Pan looked at the few remaining 9 light race clansmen being drowned by thousands of torch stone giants. These torch stone giants were unable to instantly kill a few of their clansmen, but if this continued, they would definitely die. "Marshal Si-Hai, I beg you leave." Eugene knelt down on one knee. "I'll fight you to the death." Li Pan chose to attack the ancient demon king, wanting to perish together with him. "Eugene, you know I can't leave. You should go back to the clan and offer the most beautiful lady in the clan to Changqiu. Then, the entire clan should submit to him and become his vassal. Only then can the 9 glory race be preserved." Si-Hai looked at Eugene and warned her with great pain. Changqiu was the enemy that Si-Hai hated the most in his life. However, for the survival of the clan, he had no choice but to lower his head to his enemy. The most ironic thing was that the most beautiful lady in the 9 glory race was Elder Si-Hai's granddaughter. She was so arrogant that she even rejected the 9 glory king's offer to take her as a concubine. Now, for the sake of the clan, Si-Hai was offering her to his enemy, Changqiu. The mourner Eugene kowtowed to the 4 Cs with grief and indignation. When the four seas were desperately trying to stop the crazily slaughtering ancient demon king, Eugene let out a long roar and broke through Shui Wuxia's divine sense domain. He dodged Princess Qian Qian's azure dragon sacred slash and quickly fled from the battlefield. He had to bear the heavy responsibility and endure the humiliation. He had to escape alone in front of his comrade. However, even if the Night Empress did not stop him, would he be able to escape from the 5th level of the Heaven Stairway? A man covered in wounds appeared in front of Eugene the Undertaker. He pressed his hand on Eugene's face and unleashed a destructive heavenly punishment, sending Eugene flying back to see Hai's feet. Even though he was covered in wounds and his clothes were stained with blood, the man was still arrogant as if the wounds on his body belonged to someone else. Purple electric currents crackled on his right hand. With the support of Princess Sisai's azure dragon sacred power, his strength exploded and increased. The arrogant man snorted coldly at Eugene the Undertaker. You didn't expect the demonic palace to survive the siege of dozens of your 9 glory race's disciples, did you? Sky Execution did not die. Now, I'm here to learn from the martial techniques of the 9 glory race's super experts. Eugene looked at Sky Execution with a stunned expression. There were more than 5 9 glory race's disciples that were secretly sent to the demonic palace at the falling Kang Mountain. There was even a skinning hand, Bai Feng, who was just below Li Pan and himself. How could dozens of heaven-ranked disciples not be able to crush a small demonic palace? According to the intelligence, there was only one person in the demonic palace who had reached heaven rank, and that was Sky Execution. Heaven rank level 5 skinning hand, Bai Feng. How could they not kill Sky Execution? What went wrong? The battle was not like this at all. Something must have gone wrong. The 3 elders of heavenly mystery, Heaven's Pole and Heaven's Sanctum, the 5 great elders of the Nether race, and the 2 ancestors of my Dongfang race have all perished in this battle. I do need to settle this debt with your 9 glory race. As long as I, Long Xian, am not dead, and the 9 glory race is not destroyed, this grudge will not be settled. Behind Sky Execution, there was another man covered in wounds. This fierce man was the Dragon Emperor of the Eastern Goblin tribe. He was so angry that his beard and hair were standing on end. He roared at the 9 glory race with a loud voice. On the other side of Sky Execution, there was the Emperor of the Underworld, who could not even turn invisible. The Emperor of the Underworld did not even have the strength to stand. One of his hands was severed at the shoulder. Blue blood splattered on the ground. However, his killing intent was not any weaker than the Dragon Emperor's. It was as if he wanted to perish together with the enemy. In the battle of the demonic palace, if it was not for the senior's fearless spirit of self-detonation and heavily injuring the enemy, it would have been impossible for them to win with just their strength. The disciples of the 9 glory race had calculated their strength correctly but underestimated their spirit. The demonic palace, the Eastern Goblin tribe, and the underworld race, almost 1,000 warriors, self-detonated to injure the enemy. It was as if they were piled up with corpses. In the end, even the few old fellows who had been living in seclusion were mobilized. They exploded together with the enemy. It was precisely because of their sacrifice that they managed to obtain this victory. If I don't destroy your 9 glory race, I am not human. Sky Execution swore the same oath as the ancient demon king. Big Grandpa, Second Grandpa and Third Grandpa have left? Sob sob, I said I would give them a heaven-ranked beast last time. I didn't expect them to leave before my wish was fulfilled. Impatience came out from Shui Wuxia's grimoire world. After confirming the news, she felt an indescribable pain in her heart and could not help but cry. Si-Hai looked at the Night Empress, who had raised her strength to the limit, and sighed softly. He was speechless with regards to the situation. The 9 glory race was on the brink of extinction, but he was powerless to stop it. Moreover, he understood that this extinction was caused by greed. If it wasn't for the fact that they wanted to wipe out all the forces in Tong Tian Tower and monopolize the treasures in God's ruins, if it wasn't for the fact that they killed Yi Shao and Zi Guang and forced the ancient demon king to betray them before the final victory was achieved, if it wasn't for the fact that they had underestimated Ji Zun, Yu Yang, the Night Empress and even the people in front of them, the Nine Glory race would not have fallen into such a terrifying situation. They could not blame anyone for this. They could only say that the Nine Glory race had to pay the price for their greed and arrogance. However, this price was something that the Nine Glory race could not afford to pay. If Sky Execution and the others did not come, the Night Empress and the others might have just stood by and watched, as they were also wary of the ancient demon king. However, the Sky Execution, Dragon Emperor and the Underworld race came, and the Nine Glory race was destined to be annihilated. The Night Empress was going to attack. She was completely enraged. Si-Hai looked at the sky and let out a long sigh. All right, this is the last battle of my life. Could he truly defeat the experts of Tong Tian Tower, even if he had to perish together with them? It all depended on this last attack. A power that could overturn the sea erupted from Si-Hai's body. Not only that, Si-Hai was also desperately burning his potential, overdrafting again and again. His goal was not to defeat the Night Empress, but to drag her down with him. Si-Hai, will definitely defeat the experts of Tong Tian Tower once. That was Si-Hai's last thought. Silver Core, Star River explosion. The moment before the Night Empress was hit by Si-Hai, a beautiful divine artifact Silver Core appeared in her hand. At the same time, Si-Hai had never seen the Night Empress use the power of the law. She was holding the Silver Core tightly in her hand. In the starry sky domain, millions of stars flew back at the speed of light, converging into the Silver Core, forming the most beautiful and dazzling scenery in the world. One after another, the stars ignored Si-Hai's defense and directly passed through his body. In just a second, Si-Hai, who was at the edge of the Silver Core, turned into a strange man with countless transparent holes. The Night Empress gently held the Silver Core in her hand, and the destructive power of the starry sky law instantly erupted. The millions of stars that gathered instantly exploded, and even the space was completely shattered. Si-Hai, as well as his power, was completely submerged in this star river explosion. A distorted black hole was born in the shattered space, sucking in the nearly annihilated Si-Hai's soul and sealing it in the black hole forever. However, because Si-Hai's soul completely gave up resisting, before the black hole disappeared, the soul was completely annihilated. As if he had been freed, Si-Hai's soul in the black hole slightly lit up, then disappeared forever, turned into nothingness. Chapter 753. Outside the Rainbow Castle. You can still get up? Shun Tian couldn't bear it any more and roared madly, "Why aren't you dead?" He couldn't remember how many times he had knocked down Fatty Hai, 1,000 times or 10,000 times. But he just didn't die. If it were someone else, even if they had 100 lives, they would have died long ago. Shun Tian had never heard of someone who could exceed the limit of vitality by only relying on willpower. Besides, trash like Fatty Hai had always been greedy for life and afraid of death. How could he have willpower? Why, what kind of power could make Fatty Hai, who he thought could be killed with one punch, hold on for so long? No matter what unique skill he used, what combat skill he used, or what treasure he used to attack Fatty Hai, he just didn't die. Shun Tian, who had never doubted his own strength, was now shaken. Fatty Hai couldn't even maintain his ugly monster form anymore. After returning to his human form, his ribs were broken, both of his legs were broken, his right arm was twisted like a fried dough twist, and the 4 fingers on his left hand were twisted off, leaving only his thumb. However, this Fatty Hai, who didn't even look like a human, still used his thumb to support his body and insisted on sitting up. The ground was covered with blood. It was hard to imagine that a person could still live after losing so much blood. But this strange guy was sitting in front of him, and he was vomiting blood again and again, as if he was born to vomit blood. The wind-breath seabird in the sky landed and once again overdrew its body energy to inject warm sea-sky wind into Fatty High's body, with this weak assistance to help him recover. It was just a little bit of energy that was almost not enough to save his life. Under the incredible gaze of Shun Tian, Fatty High, whose face was so swollen that his eyes couldn't be seen, once again stood up with difficulty with the support of the wind-breath seabird. He raised his left hand, which only had one thumb left, and spat out a mouthful of blood. He waved at Shun Tian and said, "Come, hit me again. I can't beat you, but I will exhaust you to death." Shun Tian's face was livid. He was not only angry but also regretful. If Shun Tian had to choose again, he would never choose Fatty High as his opponent. If he had to choose Fatty High as his opponent, he would definitely not look down on this wretched Fatty. Most importantly, he would not let him get hit by a single punch when he thought he had the chance to kill him instantly. In the whole battle, Fatty High had only hit Shun Tian once. However, Fatty High, who had become one with his fist, only needed one punch to shatter Shun Tian's strongest right fist. At the same time, it also pierced the chest of the Emperor, who rushed back to defend. If it wasn't for his guardian beast, Shun Tian believed that he would have died. From then on, Shun Tian, who had lost his strongest attack, could still stand up again no matter how hard he attacked. Even if he was exhausted and gasping for breath, he could still beat Fatty High until his flesh and blood splattered everywhere. What made Shun Tian even crazier was that after his right fist was shattered by Fatty High, he could no longer hit the smart wind-breath seabird. The smart wind-breath seabird became the key to turning the whole battle, because every time Shun Tian knocked Fatty High down, it would use a kind of breezy ocean sky that had almost no healing effect to restore Fatty High's body, allowing him to hold on all the way. If Shun Tian could choose again, he would definitely kill this unimaginably smart wind-breath seabird at the first moment. Sometimes, Shun Tian felt that this bird was much smarter than a person. There was no way to lure the enemy or trap it could fall for. There was also no way to shoot it down. The worst thing was that Shun Tian didn't dare to get too close to Fatty High now. He could no longer use the kind of close-range heavy attacks like before. Now he could only attack from a distance, because after Fatty High removed the ugly monster transformation, he completely gave up defending. He was infinitely exhausted, and his belly was bulging like a toad. He, who had stored countless energy, was like an active volcano that could erupt at any time. Shun Tian knew what Fatty High was thinking. This damn Fatty wanted to self-destruct. He wanted to perish together with Shun Tian. As long as he got close, Fatty High would have a chance to hug Shun Tian. That would be very dangerous. What's more, this damn Fatty High, even if he only had one broken arm left, he could still use the abnormal attack power of human and fist fusion. Why? What benefits did Yu Yang give you? Why did you fight to this extent for him? With your current strength, it's not a problem to set up your own family. You can become a grandmaster in the Tong Tian Tower. Because of you, the Hai clan can rise. They don't need to rely on the Yu clan to become one of the 4 great clans in the Soaring Dragon continent, or even surpass them. Yu Yang is definitely going to die. Why do you have to follow him so loyally? Fatty High, people like you should be very smart. Why do you do such a stupid thing? Shun Tian stroked his broken right fist with his left hand, endured the pain, and asked puzzledly. Ha ha! Fatty High was stunned for a while after hearing this. Suddenly, he laughed so hard that blood splashed out from his facial orifices. He laughed so hard that his broken ribs pierced out from his flesh, revealing white bone spikes. After a long time, he slowly calmed down, and asked with a calmness that surprised Shun Tian, "Do you think I'm stupid now?" "Shun Tian, you're right, absolutely right. But you don't know I'm a fool, ha ha ha. After saying this, Fatty Hi laughed crazily again, this time with tears. Shun Tian, in comparison, you, who are almost perfect, seem to be worthy of my envy. But compared to the awareness of a real warrior, you, Shun Tian, are just a poor worm. Do you know why you can't be promoted to innate elder? It's not that you are not talented enough, it's not that you are not diligent enough, it's that with your awareness, it's already the peak of your life. You can only be a frog at the bottom of a well. You can't even win against me, Fatty Hi. You can't even see through me, Fatty Hi, and you still want to guess that, you young brat? You're really an idiot. I, Fatty Hi, am not as good as you in other aspects, but I am stronger than you in that I believe in miracles. I believe that I can create miracles, and I have done it. I am weaker than you, but you still can't defeat me. This is a miracle. I believe in you, young more. I, Fatty Hi, can create miracles, you young, who is thousands of times better than me. Can't he create miracles? What a joke. Nothing that guy did was normal. All of his creations were unimaginable existences in the world. Shun Tian, you lowly people, apart from looking up to him with jealousy, what else can you do to stop his growth? Shun Tian, do you know what I want to say to you, who used to be superior? I sympathize with you, I pity you. Fatty Hi suddenly said with a serious face, you're just a pitiful worm. In Yu Yang's life, and even in my life, you're just AF * King Smart Flea. You're not strong enough to be killed by a real rancor. Do you really think that you're a winner? After hearing this, Shun Tian's mouth twitched from time to time. He wanted to refute, but he opened his mouth several times. He couldn't even say a word. He wanted to forcibly suppress the depression in his chest, but suddenly he felt something sweet in his throat, and then he spat out a mouthful of blood. Fatty Hi's face was swollen like an over-fermented big steamed bun, but at this time it was full of vigor. Shun Tian's mind was in a mess. Although he didn't lose, Shun Tian knew that he was now at a disadvantage in terms of momentum and fighting spirit. Even if he killed Fatty Hi in this battle, he might not be able to break this psychological barrier in his life. Could it be that he could only be an arrogant frog at the bottom of a well forever? Puff. Thinking of this, Shun Tian spat out a mouthful of blood again. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.